do their part and win the game on my anniversary, that's okay. Getting my flag football team together, which is very important for our traction league over there. I'm actually getting requests to sign up on the team, so I was answering that right before the show.
Are you coaching or just you the general manager?
I'm coaching. So, it's first grade. It used to be first and second grade flag. Now it's just first grade, which is actually better for us. We're a younger team, Hanny, if you want to start getting odds on this thing. And you can throw the football in this league. Before in the kindergarten league, I was the actual quarterback. Okay. Now it's going to be one of the players. And
so it's going to be an upgrade.
It's going to big upgrade.
Got it.
And I don't feel real confident with first graders throwing the football a ton. And so basically we're going to be Rich Rod at West Virginia. We're going to people are going to be going everywhere pre-snap.
And see, I thought you were going to tell me you were going to be Les Miles. Can you run pitch dive in flag football?
Well, we don't have a fullback, so we can't. That's out.
I see. Well, that would be a problem. Lots of information coming today. Later on this hour, in about 25 minutes or so, we're going to have Nicole Auerbach from The Athletic. A lot of tweets yesterday coming from Nicole. You'll remember that she broke the story on the Big Ten going to conference only. She's got some more information today about multiple leagues in college football. So we're going to talk with her and also with Matt Hayes, who is a senior college football writer from Bleacher Report. We'll have him in the 2 o'clock hour with his thoughts on a lot of the same subjects. Frankly, we're getting closer to kicking the can down the road again, and we didn't think that earlier in the week, but now looking at it, the ACC meeting today, as recently as 2 days ago, we thought that the ACC might release some kind of plan today about scheduling or at least the very start of the season. We don't necessarily think that today. And almost in conjunction with that, we expected to hear something from the Southeastern Conference on Friday. We may or may not. There is more indication now that they may push this off a little bit more. We can try to read into this what we will. I can tell you that it changes day to day, because what I think today, I didn't necessarily think on Monday. And I don't think that anybody can tell you absolutely positively for sure this is what's going to happen. That's an impossibility at this point. I think we can make educated guesses. I think we can see where they're going, what they want to do. But to say with any certainty, absolutely positively this will happen past less than a week, really, I think you're really guessing. So what we'll do is we'll continue to tell you what's going on, what we think about it, but I'm not going to tell you, oh, absolutely, man, that this is what's going to happen, because like I said, as recently as Monday, we thought, well, Wednesday the ACC is going to say something, and Friday the SEC is going to say something, and now that may not be the case. What I read into that, Jake, is this: that if they had full confidence that they could run a schedule on time and a full schedule starting in week 0, and they could announce that today, they would do it. They can't do that. There is still some uncertainty. But what I can also say in lockstep with that is that they're not throwing their hands up in the air and saying, we can't do this. Right. A lot of the smaller leagues have had to do that. The financial considerations alone forced them to do that. And that was, in my opinion, the right call in a lot of those cases. So what are we watching? We're watching a few meetings. We're watching the ACC today. We're watching there's not an SEC meeting on Friday per se, but it is the end of the month.
That's the date we've heard.
It was Greg Sankey's self-imposed I don't even want to call it a deadline. I want to call it a benchmark, maybe, where he was going to say something. We're watching August the 4th. Why is August the 4th important? That's the meeting of the NCAA Board of Governors. They are considering canceling the fall championships. Now, this is not football, okay? Right. They don't run the college football playoff. But if they shut down the rest of the fall sports, that's probably going to be taken into consideration. Is it going to be the number one consideration? No. The number one consideration is health. The number two consideration is money. And if you're, I didn't want to call it cynical, but if you want to flip-flop those two, I don't know that in every case you're exactly wrong. So whether they have, cross-country championships in the fall at Rutgers or Missouri or Oklahoma State, I don't think is going to have a whole lot of impact. But it is another meeting that we're watching. So if you listen to the governor yesterday, there was some good news there that the hospitalizations have flattened. Okay, It went up and down the last week. There was a great deal of fear yesterday that he was going to roll the state back into phase 1. That didn't happen. That there were going to be further restrictions. That didn't happen either. Okay.
Right.
And so we go along here, and everybody wants to know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. And I'm right there with you, man. You know, we got out of an appointment yesterday, and I'm right into Talk 107.3. I want to see what he's got to say. I mean, it affects me. It affects you. It affects everybody. Yeah. And so you can kind of analyze the data however you want, but this is what we're getting from the officials. So there is some – what I've come to realize during this pandemic, Jake, is it is a great deal upon how you want to analyze the data, okay? Yeah. And I'll give you Major League Baseball as a great example of that. Do you want to focus on the fact that one team, the Miami Marlins, had 17 positive tests? Or do you want to focus on the fact that the other 29 teams had a combined 0? And you can write the headline however you want. And different organizations certainly write the headlines differently, don't they?
Yes.
Okay. So which one do you want to focus on? New Orleans Saints reported yesterday for camp, sort of. Actually, what they reported for was COVID testing.
Yeah.
And that's the way they're going to be. So when everybody came into camp yesterday, it wasn't this, hey, everybody's going to take a physical and do a conditioning run. No, it's here. Let me shove this thing up your nose, and I'll get back to you. It's really pleasant, by the way.
I actually saw Greedy Williams film his. I don't know if you saw that on social media. He had the camera underneath.
Wait a minute. You knew that he was going to film taking the test, and you watched it anyway?
Yeah, I've already taken the test.
I've taken the test too. I mean, it's not torture or anything, but it's not anything I'd want to do again if I didn't have to.
I was just curious how they were doing the testing in the NFL.
This was research.
This was research for the show. And so just to give you an update, both nostrils. Both nostrils.
Okay. Double barrel.
But no, I think you're exactly right. And let's go back real quick to the college points that you're making. The ACC was assumed that they were going to have this meeting today, and that's when the scheduling and all that was going to get figured out. They have pushed that back. They're going to have the meeting, but push back scheduling decisions until August the 5th, the day after the NCAA meeting. And you always say that I'm pumping sunshine here, which is good. That's what I want to be. I want to be that person because
Jacob, I don't often say this, but to my radio part, I need you. I need you, man. I need your positivity in my life.
Yeah, and so for me, I don't think that a delayed decision is a bad thing, to your second part that you said, because I think they're trying everything they can do to play the schedule that's out in front of them. And at worst case scenario, they're trying to come up with a model that is more than just conference games. Yeah. Because the Big Ten has already decided that's what we're doing. We knew the Pac-12 was going to be either the first or they were going to follow whoever did it first, right? So that's not a surprise there. And so I think now you've got three conferences. They want to play 12 games. They want to play their schedule. We talked about it yesterday with CD. They moved their game up. Oklahoma did right a week, so they'd have a little bit more of a buffer. And I think you could possibly see more teams within these three conferences do that. And also, I think that they're trying to come up with something. Say that you can't play the UTSAs of the world. They're trying to come up with an 8+1 or 8+2 where they can still have all the games that are already scheduled and they can play those conference games.
And it's also, I think they're doing this on the front end with obviously making that blanket statement that everybody can go in week 0 if they want to. I think they're going to do that on the back end as well. Frankly, at this point, I'm going to be surprised if they don't move the conference championship games back to give themselves another week or two. They could go as far as 2 into December if they had to and still be able to hold a playoff and hold bowl games and all of those things. So it's how you want to interpret the data. Do you want to say that yesterday the New Orleans Saints had 2 players who were unlikely to make the team anyway opt out? Or do you want to say that everybody else showed up? This was Mickey Loomis on if he is concerned for the season.
Listen, I'm the same as everyone else. We're all concerned. We're concerned about the health of our ourselves, our families, and really our entire community. We've seen some devastating numbers, and we're hopeful that we can get control of this. But I think that I would say my guess is that I'm feeling the same way as everyone is, including yourselves.
It's okay to feel optimistic and hopeful that you can move forward and still have a concern for the health of the community. And too often, and this is one of the most frustrating things in this entire pandemic to me, is that you've been forced to pick a side, that your side is go on with society full blast and have no regard for people's health, or go home and hide under the bed until some scientist somewhere, creates a vaccine to where nobody's ever in. And the truth is that if you take either one of those extremes, it's probably not the right thing to do.
Right.
That it should be in everybody's best interest to try to do everything you can to follow the safety protocols and work towards a solution. And whether you like it or not, do some of these things. I mean, look, I don't like this thing. Okay. Yeah. Not my favorite thing to do, but I'm wearing it. All right. Doesn't matter what my political affiliation is. Doesn't matter what, I think about it personally. I'm not a doctor. I'm going to wear the damn thing because they told me to wear the damn thing, and that's what can get us closer to do. But I still want to move forward with society. I still would like to see us open schools and have football and do all of those things. They're not mutually exclusive. You can think multiple things at one time. That's okay.
And that's why yesterday we talked about Patrick Mahomes. He had a fear going into it. Then he gets to the Kansas City training camp. And he's like, man, y'all have done everything the right way. These protocols are put into place. I feel much better now. And you and I kind of have the same belief. We're probably going to have to live with this. This is something we're going to have to live with. And if I have to wear my mask because we're having to live with it, yeah. Do I like wearing it? No, I don't like wearing it either. But if that's something we have to do to move forward and get going in the right direction, then I'm all for that. So we're kind of in the same boat there. And, there is protocols. There is things in place. There is things that can make you feel at ease a little bit more. And I realize not everybody has NFL resources, but you're starting to see that. And you're starting to see people learn from others' mistakes. Right? And some of these leagues that have been going on for a while, well, they have mistakes. Some kind of went off flawlessly. The English Premier League went off pretty flawlessly. They never really missed a beat. At the very beginning, they had one team that had a couple of cases. Well, otherwise, they moved on, and they finished their season. They are done. And so it's been done in the right way if you do it the right way, and that's the hope. The hope is you have a case like Major League Baseball, that if you do have a team that tests positive like the Marlins, you have a protocol in place to be able to say, we're moving forward. There was games last night, and you mentioned, you talked about it before it even happened, the Yankees, when now they're playing the Orioles, and they're shifting schedules around.
Get me to a yes.
And that's what it's doing, and that's what it's doing. It is working. We are now seeing the proof because we have the proof. The NBA bubble, I think that's working.
It is working, and there were a lot of complaints about it when they got there. I mean, nobody likes this, but you work your way through. You get yourself to a yes. What was the yes for them? Well, you got to isolate. You got to leave your family for potentially 3.5 months. Okay, the food wasn't all that good the first night. I mean, some things are a little bit easier to deal with than others. It's just what it is, and you don't have to say, well, you have a blatant disregard for life if you want people to play football. No, and you don't have to say that we have to shut everything down in order to, for the planet to still operate. You can work through things, and it's a little bit inconvenient. So we got some more information coming, though. Nicole Auerbach has been terrific during this thing, yes. Especially with the Big Ten story. So we'll get her thoughts, Matt Hayes' thoughts. Stephen Etheridge, Dr. Stephen Etheridge will be with us in hour number 2. And do we have a 20 on Flynn?
So, actually just got a message from Flynn. It's funny you ask. And so typically,
you're going to read this live on the air, unedited, or
no, absolutely,
does it require some editing? Okay.
No, you know how our relationship works. Are you going to hate me if I wanted to come in tomorrow or Friday? That's the message I get from Flynn after we've already been on air for 16 minutes.
Put it up on the poll, Guillermo. Are we going to hate Flynn if he comes in tomorrow or Friday?
Hey, Matt, if you're listening, you can't come in tomorrow. That's already reserved for Hunter Palmer.
Okay.
But, Friday, if there's ever someone who could sit here and BS and not talk about COVID, it would be Flynn. So
Can we get him a shirt?
I'm thinking Friday.
Can we get him a shirt?
I'm thinking Friday might work for a little flestering, because a couple Fridays ago when we were COVID-free, that's the most fun I've had in a long time. I don't know if we can get there because there's probably going to be some news, but if we can take an hour and just let Flynn be Flynn, I'm all for that.
You know what? If the SEC comes out on Thursday, tomorrow, and says, you know what? No news tomorrow. We're putting this all off until next week. We may be able to pull this off again.
Mark Cumbie, one of our loyal listeners, sent us some Hawaiian Lays for Island Hanny. Anytime you wanted to break those out, we have those here in studio.
Let's say we're going to try. Because let me tell you something else we're going to have on Friday. We are going to be able to review an actual game, a professional game that counts in the standings. That
means something to us.
Yeah, that the Pelicans will play on Thursday night. We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. This is Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, as you know, we're brought to you by Hungry Howie's. It's home of the original flavored crust. So many different flavors to choose from: butter, butter cheese, Asiago cheese, ranch, onion, Cajun, sesame, and garlic herb. All those free flavor crust for you over at Hungry Howie's. You can order it on hungryhowies.com. Right there, I always tell you every single day in the top right corner, click on deals. They're going to have a deal that fits whatever your need is. If it's just you, if it's just the family, whatever it is, they're going to have a deal in place for you. Of course, we love the $5.99 mix and match. Choose any two deal. You can choose between pizza, salad, calzone, Howie bread, or a 4-pack of Pepsi. Forget having to decide between flavored crust pizza and Howie bread, and forget having to choose between a salad and a Howie cookie. You get the idea. Get whatever you want. It's that easy. Use promo code PICK2 at checkout on hungryhowies.com. You can also call 761-HOWIE. Nicholson location, 10 a.m. until 4 a.m. You can't beat those hours and the location. And the Hungry Howie's app is always available to you. That's Hungry Howie's and hungryhowies.com.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube page. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat. Find highlights for each show's channel and get notified whenever we go live.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. Inching closer to the start of college football, plans are materializing. We'll discuss with Russ Mitchell of College Football News. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And if you're watching along with us on CST, thank you very much. If you're watching along on our YouTube channel, 104.5 ESPN, we invite you in for that. And you can always check out the past interviews, past highlights on the Hangin' page on YouTube. One of the, you look for benchmarks in your year, at least I do, and it's always something that will trigger a memory or whatever. For me, when the LSU football coach goes to the Rotary Club, it's always that trigger for, hey, football season's here. It's traditionally has been for a long time the last media availability before camp starts. Obviously, this year is a little bit different as far as camp as we know it, but Coach O is at the Rotary Club today, and we got some reports coming out of there with some interesting little tidbits, I would say.
Obviously, our friends over there, a bunch of people covering the event, Michael Cobble being one of them, says Coach O continues on the LSU defense, talking about this might be the best freshman class that he's ever seen. That's pretty big. He's been around some really good freshman class. Says Cordell Fly can play both corner and nickel. That's something we talked about on yesterday, and also talked about Jacoby Stevens, playing closer to the ball this year, something else we've mentioned over the last couple of weeks. Another one, obviously, that is a little bit more important is Coach O says they have two guys right now who have COVID-19. Credits Dr. Nelson and Shelley Molnex for how they have handled the virus and protocols associated with LSU. And before we talk about that point, I thought there was a go-in from Brody Miller. Coach O, they asked him, on being flexible playing football this fall. Coach O said, you call us at midnight, we'll play in a pasture. And I believe that.
So they're playing in the pasture now. Where were they playing the last time somebody asked him something like that? They were playing in a parking lot in Canada, I believe.
I think that was like a gravel. I think that was Joe Burrow that said we'll play him in a gravel parking lot in Canada.
Okay, well, I believe that. If you could figure out a way to get Coach O onto Neptune to play a football game, he'd be the first one to go. The part about having two now, I think that's a pretty positive thing, that from where they were at the beginning, which was it was somewhere around 20, but it was not all players. It was some staffers and stuff.
It was more in the low teens, but they were being overly cautious with who they were putting in quarantine.
Some people that hadn't tested positive at contract. Okay, got it. We saw this case or this number earlier as well. The athletic director at Baylor is Mack Rhodes, and they had a very high case number when they got back as well. But they have received their surveillance testing results, and there were 0 cases. So Baylor went from, they're saying a high number. I don't know what that is. Let's just assume it's north of 20. That was almost 2 months ago now.
Right.
They're at 0. Bubble works, okay? They are in as much of a bubble as you can put college athletes in. I understand that there are big concerns when the general student population comes back. I get that. I've also been told that they are going to, as much as they can, put the athletes in online learning classes. They can't do it 100% is what I'm told, but they can get pretty close. So your overall interaction, having to go, if you're worried about, hey, do they have to go on class and go on campus and get into a room with another 150 History 101, 1001 students?
Do you think it'll be that number, though, Hanny?
What's that?
Do you think the number of students, in our normal, let's take a building, the Cox Communications building. It's a gigantic classroom, and typically they fill that up almost to capacity. I've got to imagine that's going to look completely different.
It will, and not just for athletes.
It will look
like
for
that
general population. So, what's that look like? How far are they taking that history class we've all been in that had 150 students? Will that be 50? Will that be 30 students? How many students will they allow in those classes? How many will be virtual? That's going to be one of the biggest questions, because if you're spread out, if you're in the Cox Communications building and there's only 30 people in there and you're skipping 6 seats in between and you're wearing a mask and all those things, well, you feel a lot better about that than if it was normal, elbow to elbow, no mask, and all those type of things.
That's called working the problem.
Yeah.
That's called working the problem. That's good. I would call that good news from LSU. If you had double-digit positive tests when you came back at the beginning of June, and now you've got 2, that's a manageable number.
And remember,
you put
you're
them in quarantine
about,
and you move forward.
You're talking about 85 scholarship players, plus I'm sure there's some preferred walk-on. Not everybody who's going to be a walk-on is there right now. They typically come after camp. But you've got preferred walk-ons, and that's definitely a double-digit number. So you're talking about 100 people and only 2 positive tests right now. And that's not even a bubble. Now, like you said, they're doing as best they can to keep them in a certain area. But, look, I've seen guys in Matherns across the street. I've seen them at Rouse's. You've seen them in the grocery store. I mean, they are still out in the general public and only having 2 positive tests.
And they're allowed to do that. We're out in the general public. We're a lot older than them. We're out in the general public.
Hey, Hanny.
You are a lot older than them.
Yeah,
I hate to, and I'm a lot older than you, so I hate to break it to you. Nicole Auerbach is with the Athletic. She'll be with us when we return. This is Hanging with, and we'll have more from the Rotary. Highlights from that. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Live NBA play-by-play returns this week. Thursday night, catch the Lakers and Clippers at 8. The Mavericks host the Rockets Friday at 8. And Sunday at 2:30, the Boston Celtics host the Portland Trail Blazers. Your home for the NBA is 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Here at
At the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional.
It's a Wednesday edition of Game Time, live from Rouge Creole on Perkins Row. Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz will break down the latest action in baseball and a whole lot more on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Lots of things going on this week in college football. Nicole Auerbach was out in front of this thing when the Big Ten announced their first schedule changes. She's from The Athletic, and she joins us now. Nicole, good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It feels like when we started this week, it was a watershed week in college football, that the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12 would make further decisions, that we might have more specific plans from the Big Ten and the Pac-12, and that the Group of Five might follow suit. Midway through the week, it doesn't quite feel like that anymore. Is the can being kicked a little bit further down the road, in your opinion?
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. I think, heading into this week, you thought you would get some plans and some decisions, at least regarding what potential schedules would look like for a fall season. And, with the NCAA Board of Governors meeting for next Tuesday, August 4th, it makes sense that people would try to wait a little bit longer and see what they decide about fall championships that are all sports but not FBS football. So, I do think that part makes sense. I do think it kind of, we're kind of in this wait and see period here. You've got different administrators. Like I was talking to the Big 12 Commissioner, Bob Polsby, earlier in the week about, ideally he would like to see how fall camps go and, what that means for cases and how the virus does or doesn't spread. And there's administrators in a number of Power 5 places that, have been looking at, early August dates where regular students come back to campus to see, what the impact that has. So there are definitely people who would love to keep pushing this and waiting and delaying and seeing if there's change in outbreaks in various places, but also, kind of some of those on-campus dynamics and see how they go. So, I think, it's not terribly surprising that people are, potentially not going to make even scheduling announcements this week. But there's really just this strange kind of wait and see mode. And, I just think about the players and the coaches going through that right now, waking up every day, wondering if there's going to be a season or not. And if there is, what it looks like. So all of that uncertainty continues and it looks like it's going to continue at least through this week.
You're right, Nicole. I mean, it does look cloudy because, as a former player, you know when you typically go to training camp, you know what the schedule is. I mean, we're creatures of habit in football. We know exactly where we need to be as far as in shape and all those different things when we get into training camp. And right now, you've got teams that are starting to get that process going. They're starting to have the walkthroughs with the footballs. And if you're Oklahoma, I mean, you've got a game scheduled for August 29th. You move that game up, and then the Big 12 is yet to make a decision. You're talking about possibly August 5th being the soonest that we'll get a decision, not even really a full month between that and game time. So what's the latest date that you can see there being a decision being made in Oklahoma still having, and Kansas as well? They got a Big 12 game. They moved up against Southern Illinois. So what's the latest possible date that you can see a decision being made and still having some sort of a game, fans, no fans, whatever, on August the 29th?
Yeah, you try to ask that question, and I've tried to ask it for a while now, for some of the teams that had been previously scheduled for Week 0 games as well. And, you know, I don't know if there's a hard deadline in a day that you have to do it. I think at this point, you know, you have a lot of administrators who are saying that they would, you know, if they have to change plans on a dime at the last minute, they will. So I think, you know, the idea here is you open these camps on Friday and you see how things go and you prepare as if the game is on until you're told otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, the Big 12 could still go conference only, and there's games that just got scheduled, you know, get wiped immediately. And you know, my colleague Chris Hanny did a story about the act of trying to schedule and reschedule games right now for lost games, and all of those deals have language in those contracts that everyone gets out of it if that such a thing happens. But that's definitely an interesting wrinkle to this, is that it very well could change by next week. So I think the thinking is, obviously, when you move up the start of the season, it's to have, you know, more Saturdays to try to get in X amount of games. But, you know, I think the thinking is if you start camp early and then the game gets canceled or pushed back, you know, that ultimately doesn't hurt you too much. And, you know, it's just extra practicing. So I think that's the plan, just to operate as if that game is on and then adjust as needed. But I do think, you know, you hear a lot of administrators talk about flexibility and being nimble and things like that. So, yeah, I think, you know, if you're only a couple of weeks out from a game, you know, but less than a month, and normally, you know, normal times you'd think maybe you need a month and you need to know kind of when fall camp is starting. But if you're going to be in camp and there could be adjustments, I think this is that year where you're just going to have to, you know, kind of wing it sometimes.
Yeah, with the NCAA actually granting everyone a waiver to move their game up if they want to choose to do so, even with the uncertainty of not being able to play that game, do you think schools will move their games up? And I think for the most part, it will be, you know, Power 5 teams against a directional school where they're going to have some wiggle room. I don't think you'll see a marquee matchup moved up because of the timing, but can you see a lot of teams in the Power 5 moving that game up just so they do have a little bit of a buffer, even if that game's not played?
Well, it's an interesting question because I would say about a month and a half ago, that was all the rage. Everyone was looking at starting the season earlier. And if you remember, you know, you had a lot of colleges themselves saying and moving up like the start of the semester for their students, right? Because they wanted to end it earlier and kind of, you know, shut down around Thanksgiving and kind of avoid that flu season as much as possible. But, you know, that was under the anticipation that, like, the first wave would die down and that would be the second wave of the coronavirus. So instead, you know, there's a number of outbreaks and everyone started to readjust the other way and back up the start of the season because you want, you know, the local healthcare system and caseloads in these communities to go down. So I still think that is an overriding thought in a lot of these Power 5 leagues. You know, but I do think that there are administrators in, you know, various places around the country who see what the Big 12 do and who have thought about this the last couple of months, and they do like that idea, you know, especially if your individual program feels like you have a really good handle, you don't have positive tests, everything that you're doing is working. You know, if you can find an opponent who also seems to have a pretty good handle and players that are taking, you know, their health and safety seriously and following all the rules, you know, maybe you do look into that. You know, I was told in a conversation earlier today that the reason that blanket waiver was passed was, you know, obviously to take away, you know, just the bureaucracy of having to approve these things. But, you know, there were a number of teams that got games canceled by the Big 10 and the Pac-12. And, you know, if they're talking to each other about rescheduling games, maybe that's the only common date. So it is definitely possible you'll see it. I just don't know how much more you'll see it at a Power 5 level. But that is why there is a blanket waiver to allow for that flexibility now.
Nicole Auerbach from The Athletic is our guest. Nicole, earlier this summer, the overriding thought was if there are no students on campus, then there can be no athletics. Earlier this morning, you retweeted from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that the University of Minnesota is going to be almost completely 100% online this fall. Have we walked it back at this point to be a little bit more flexible on that? Or, as the chancellor at North Carolina State said earlier this week, if there's no students on campus, we're not playing football?
Oh, man, we've been having this conversation for months, haven't we, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was that period of time where everyone was absolutely adamant that you couldn't do that. And then now it's like, well, if they're doing online classes and maybe there's some international students still around, maybe that's okay, right? Maybe it's safer to have a smaller group of students, if they're just the student athletes on campus, all of those issues. Certainly there's optics to think about, but also honestly, and I think this sometimes gets lost, but the collegiate model has been under attack and it has been challenged in court. And so when you think about things like only allowing athletes to be on campus, or, let's say fall sports get shut down and maybe you're only talking about the football team being on campus, these are things that are going to be brought up in court when you're trying to make a case that these are not employees, that these are students first, that they're just like regular students, right? So those are factors that come into this when you talk about we absolutely have to have students back on campus that I think are important, but sometimes get lost in the shuffle. But it absolutely, despite all of that, seems to be a fluid situation. I've thought all along you had to have students on campus in some capacity. Enrollment is the larger issue at these colleges above sports, right? You need to have people enrolled, and a lot of them feel like you have to have some offering of in-person classes to entice people to come to college this fall, and to keep the colleges up and running. So to me, all of that works together in addition to they're not supposed to be employees. They're not supposed to be all that different from regular students or even their fellow student athletes who play soccer and cross country and all these other sports. So to me, that would be a huge problem if you are making an exception and they are the only ones back on campus. So again, it seems fluid. Different administrators have different views, but that's just my personal thought. And, especially thinking about those challenges they face in court.
Nicole, when you look at the impact that bubbles have had on sports and the sports inside the bubble, the NBA, the NHL, the NWSL, the MLS, all of those leagues, and it's been all positive news for the most part. And then you look at Major League Baseball and the situation they have with the Marlins. Now, we know that college football is paying attention to Major League Baseball because they're trying to create a bubble without being in one central location. They're trying to create it really throughout every one of their teams. And then the Marlins situation comes up. But baseball has continued to move forward. There was games yesterday. There will be games today. And so do you think it's a positive thing for college football the way that the MLB situation has played out with the Marlins?
I don't think so, because, it just shows so many pitfalls with a non-bubble and a sport that is traveling, and just how quickly an unchecked outbreak on one team can pose a ton of problems. When you're, putting, an opposing team at risk, all the staffers and attendants in the stadium and all of these things. And, fortunately, there's no positive test out of the Phillies right now, which again kind of speaks to this idea of, playing sports outside. Baseball obviously has, the players are separated in a lot of cases, except, maybe a collision at home plate or something. And so that stuff is good, but also not something that would happen with football because you're in close contact all the time in that sport. So I think it's more of a red flag than anything that they can, take positive lessons from. But, it certainly, brings back the attention to, okay, how do you make sure that there isn't an unchecked outbreak on a roster before they go and play a game? And you think about that 72-hour turnaround time on testing. You think about, how overwhelmed labs are and how hard it is to get results, how hard it is to even get tests in certain places in the country right now for athletic departments. So all of those things are very important when you think about the viability of having a fall season, and you saw exactly why that's important. And then think about, adding the scale, right? A larger roster, more people traveling, and closer contact with football, right? So I think there's definitely, lessons to be learned from what's happening with baseball. And the number one thing is to make sure that you do not have an unchecked outbreak like they allowed to happen.
Nicole, last question. Since the moves were made this week to allow some breathing room on the front end in regards to week 0, is the next step that the Power 5 leagues will, before the schedule comes out, make a move to create some breathing room on the back end? In other words, are we looking at the move back of conference championship games before the season starts?
I think that's something. I think I first reported on it like a month ago, that people were looking at that. Could you move back 1 week? Could you move back 2? And I do think that, when we eventually see some scheduling models, I would imagine that is baked into what we see, because it makes all the sense in the world. And I had talked to the College Football Playoff Executive Director, Bill Hancock, about it as well. And, he was saying they're used to having X amount of weeks in between Selection Sunday and when the bowls start, and, you know, how teams prepare for their bowl games and things like that. But he said, you know, this year is different and everyone's going to have to be more nimble and adjust faster. And, you know, he basically said, you know, you think because, you know, it always takes a month or whatever the period of time is to prepare for something that's what you need, but it's just always how you've done it. And that doesn't necessarily mean you actually need that amount of time, that heads up, that, you know, amount of time to practice and bowl prep and all those things. You know, you can work in a different expedited fashion. So, you know, people do not seem too concerned about that. I mean, I'd be surprised if it's more than like 2 weeks past the scheduled date right now. But if you think about it, it makes total sense because right now, like, let's say, I don't know what date that Saturday is, but, you know, that day is technically open for every team in that conference right now and all of college football right now because you're hoping you're going to make that championship game. So if you move it back, it means it's open. And if you need to make up a game that's important to a divisional race or a conference race, you know that everyone is free. If you need to push it back another week because you need to make up 2 games, you know you can. I think that's probably the threshold. But again, the whole idea here, even the idea with the week 0 games, is how many Saturdays can you have to play 12 games, 11 games, 10 games, whatever the number is that league decides on. You're just trying to make sure that you have as many open Saturdays as possible to make things up. So absolutely, I think we will see that, you know, with all levels that are playing or trying to play in the fall. I think you'd see that type of flexibility with league championships.
Nicole, we appreciate it. You can follow her at Nicole Auerbach on Twitter. Thanks for your time today, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Nicole, yes, Nicole Auerbach from The Athletic. Take a break here. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com helping you out here in a variety of ways. They talk about changing lives. Well, if you're changing residences, that's going to change your life. You may have more purchasing power now than you think with the lowest interest rates that we can ever remember. Historic lows right now. It might be time for you to be in the market for a new home. If instead you want to add on to your current home, a construction loan might make the most sense for you. Or if you're just trying to free up some cash during the pandemic, you owe it to yourself to check out the deals right now with these low interest rates that a refinance can open up for you. Not only the long-term benefits of obviously lower payments, but the short-term benefits of being able to skip a mortgage payment or two. Contact GMFSmortgage.com. You'll sit with a local counselor. It's a very easy meeting. You'll answer a few questions, and then all of your options will be laid out for you. And from there to the close, they'll walk you through step by step with no surprises, and they're going to move it very, very rapidly. Do what I did. Do what thousands of others have done, and start your financial journey today at GMFSmortgage.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Richards Honda is constantly looking for smart ways to make things easier for you. So we created our buy from home option. It's the easiest, most convenient way to shop for a car, all from the comforts and safety of your own home. Just log on to richardshonda.com, click on the buy from home button, and with a few simple steps, your new or pre-owned car will be ready for pickup or delivered right to your door. It's fast, easy, and smart. Try it today at richardshonda.com.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Coming up on Thursdays off the bench, it's game day. The Pelicans are back. How will they fare against the Utah Jazz? Will Zion play? Plus, Michael Johnson answers your Munchies questions, and Chad Durbin talks baseball. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. We got some congratulations going out to a couple of former LSU athletes. I'll let you start.
NWSL, we talked about the women's league there with Nicole. They had no positive tests during COVID-19, so that was the first news. But the second news, NWSL champion Alicia Chapman, former LSU soccer player, wins the tournament they had. So another championship out there in Utah for LSU athletics. Alicia Chapman also plays for Team Canada and did really well in the World Cup as well. So just trying to spread the soccer news here.
Former LSU soccer all over the world, right? Let me see if I can top
Worldwide.
that. Sylvia Fowles became the WNBA's all-time leading rebounder last night, and you want to talk about a career. Won two championships, been the Finals MVP twice. Won 3 gold medals at the Olympics for the United States. And let's see, she's played in Chicago and Minnesota in the WNBA, but in the offseason, women's basketball is much more lucrative overseas than it is in the WNBA. She spent her offseason since she left LSU in Moscow, Turkey, and China. So you can move around pretty good and play. I mean, Moscow, Shanghai, Beijing, Turkey. I can't even pronounce the city in Turkey where she played. Actually, it's in Istanbul. I can't pronounce the name of the team she played for in Turkey. Istanbul, I can pronounce. I can't pronounce.
Alicia Chapman played for the Houston Dash, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So I can say that team name and city name.
Houston Dash. You can get that down, right?
I can say that one.
Get that.
I need to get a jersey. Do they make jerseys big enough, like a men's large?
Soccer jerseys?
Well, no. I mean, for the NWSL, I hope they do.
Oh,
I'll get one.
This is your corner of the store, man. That you would know about soccer jerseys.
Kit.
What?
Kit.
Kit.
Yeah. Soccer kit.
It's a kit.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put you to work on that. Let you take a chance.
I know our viewers on CST saw your face. I wish our radio listeners just saw your face when I said
yeah. Just trying to follow along. Dr. Stephen Etheridge will be with us in hour number 2. Matt Hayes from Bleacher Report, their senior college football writer, will be with us in hour number 3. Hanging with Hester and Hanny if you're watching along with us on CST or YouTube on our page 104.5 ESPN, 1130 The Tiger, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 2, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. If you're watching along with us on CST, our YouTube page, 104.5 ESPN, 1130 The Tiger, and of course 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Paul O'Neill, our video producer. Josh Ward, our audio producer. With Jake, Hester, Charles Hanagriff. Yesterday, was there a post earlier that I missed that you caught that said something about me hating on Joe Burrow?
Yeah, they were wondering if you were going to hate on Joe Burrow today like you did yesterday.
No, I didn't hate on Joe Burrow yesterday. What I suggested was that it wasn't all that outlandish an idea, concept, whatever, opinion, if you will, that a rookie quarterback that did not have OTAs, summer camp, or preseason games might have a little bit more difficult a transition period than your ordinary rookie.
Right, but saying difficult to really going to struggle, and that was the exact tone of it. And I didn't.
I'm with you on the tone.
And I listened to it, and I didn't really hear too much of other quarterbacks.
You know who got cleared? You know who got cleared to practice today?
Tua Tagovailoa.
He did. So don't we think the same thing about him? I certainly do. I think any rookie quarterback's going to be hurt by not having, however good they end up being. Don't we think that they would have been better had they had all of these tools at their disposal? Is that fair?
I think, yeah, you want them. I mean, you want to have that. But I do think, and this isn't me being a homer, this isn't pumping sunshine, just being around a ton of college quarterbacks since I've been, not even playing, but just covering college athletics since 2014. I've never seen a college quarterback prepare like a pro like Joe did.
Sure.
And I think that also having the pro concepts with Joe Brady that he brought from the Saints, that gives you a little bit of a leg up. And I think Tua's prepared as well. I think when you start talking about Tua and Joe being more prepared than Justin Herbert, for sure, because Tua also had a coordinator who has got NFL experience as well. Like that, those things matter because they're not going to come to college and just do something different. They're going to make you learn their system. And I think that's one of the challenges when you get to professional football is, and I always tell the story, like being back there in sub protection. I remember thinking Jimbo Fisher's sub protections were so hard, and I couldn't believe he was asking the running back to do this, right, when I first got to LSU. And then as time went, I'm like, okay, I get it. When I got to the NFL, I was like, oh, man, Jimbo stuff was kindergarten compared to what this is. Wait, I've got what? I've got who? I've got all these guys, right? And if they come from this direction, that direction, it changes if that guy does that. And so if you already have some of those principles in your arsenal because you've learned them from your coordinator, that can take you a long way. Now, it's not the say-all, be-all, but it can also help.
So if you had come out of LSU and had not been able to go to OTAs and had not had any preseason games and had to learn the offense over the summer on a computer instead of on the field, how much further behind would you have been? Your rookie year, just your rookie year, not when you were a veteran.
Yeah, rookie year when I'm coming in, I would have been behind.
Okay,
but they at least have had the information too for since April, and they've had meetings, and so it's not just first time you're seeing the information. Now that behind, because you haven't been able to do it with the coaches. You've taken the playbook, you've gone to a city park, you've gone to wherever. So that helps. But in my situation, no, not seeing anything, I would have been completely lost. But they do have the information since April.
And my only comment was that him suggesting that these rookie quarterbacks are going to be behind is not outlandish. Now, you took issue with his tone, and I got no problem with that. Certainly, Polian has run afoul of some. You brought up a couple of great examples where he's been wrong. So I didn't have a problem with him saying, hey, look, the rookie quarterbacks, they're not going to have all of these things at their disposal that they normally would. But in the interest of, keeping up my end of the sunshine pumping here, okay, I did go out and find a national commentator that's a lot more optimistic. This was Pete Prisco on Joe Burrow.
I said in Joe Burrow's tenure, they will win a Super Bowl, maybe two. I love him as a quarterback. I think he's going to be a star player in the NFL. I really do. I think he's going to be a star, like a guy that can carry a team even when things aren't going well. But I like this team and where it's heading. I know this year I think they probably get to 8-8, maybe 7-9. I don't think they get to the postseason. Next year they compete for the division. They've done a lot of really good things. Don't forget they get Jonah Williams back to play left tackle. AJ Green will be back. Joe Mixon was phenomenal in the last 8 games of the season. And then you shift over to the defense. That starting front four is going to be really, really good with Reeder next to Atkins, Sam Hubbard, and Carlos Dunlap. I love what they've done in the offseason. I think they're a year away, but they're going to be feisty good this year, maybe get to 8-8.
That was Pete Prisco. So, see, I went out and it's all you wanted, right?
It's all I wanted.
All you wanted.
Because I just don't think you can devalue Joe's mentality and what we've seen from him in preparing for the season. So I'm going to put a lot of stock into that because I have been around quarterbacks in the NFL that prepare the right way and go extra. Phillip Rivers and Peyton Manning are two examples of guys that have always had their teammates' attention. They do everything the right way. And I've also seen some quarterbacks that have come through that haven't done it the right way, that were more talented. There's been a lot of guys in the NFL that have more arm talent than Phillip Rivers and Peyton Manning. but they didn't do things. They didn't prepare the right way. They weren't ready for every situation. That's the thing that amazed me when I played with Peyton, was there was nothing that was going to surprise him. There was nothing you could do as a defensive coordinator that he wasn't ready for. And if you have that, what did Joe say when I interviewed him on the stage over there at the PMAC for the championship parade? It's like we had the answers to the test walking into the building. Man, I hope you understand, like, there's not a value you can put on that.
I get that completely. Now, I want to talk about real quick. It's something else that he alluded to, and he was talking about the offensive personnel that Joe Burrow will have around him, and I think it's got a tremendous amount of upside, and it's also got a lot of question marks. These are the guys that Burrow is going to be counting on the most. His running back, Joe Mixon. Mixon's fantastic. Okay, I think Mixon is probably one of the top half dozen backs in the league right now. I don't think he's Ezekiel Elliott, but I think he's in that top 6, maybe 8 on the outside. A.J. Green, we've had this discussion before. Is he A.J. Green of 2016, or is he A.J. Green that's over the hill? I don't know. I know it's been 2 years since he's been able to play a full season, and it's been almost 4 since he's been that dominant impact guy that we remember him being. Maybe he's fully healthy now, and if he is, great. I like Tyler Boyd. I think he's a good receiver. T. Higgins, we saw at Clemson. Rookie receivers traditionally struggle. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. How good can he be? Is he going to be as good as any rookie receiver that's come through here in the last 5 years? I don't know. I know he's got upper level talent. Sometimes it takes rookie receivers a year to get it. And then he brought up Jonah Williams. Here's another first-round draft pick that sat out an entire year with an injury. So if Jonah Williams plays to his potential as a left tackle, there's your number one protector. If A.J. Green returns to form at 31, if T. Higgins exceeds what rookie receivers usually do, there's talent in all of those places. There are question marks as well. Wide range on the Bengals for me. And I'm with him on the defensive. They've got some decent defensive personnel. Right. This is a team that could finish anywhere, I think, from 4 wins to 9 wins. I think there's a pretty wide range when it comes to Cincinnati.
How do you feel about the division? Because there's been years where it's like, who's going to finish third? We know the Ravens and Steelers are at the top, and we know the Ravens are still there.
No, I know the Ravens are at the top. I don't know that the Steelers are at the top.
I think that's big, because the Steelers have a ton of question marks. The Browns, on paper, they look good, but we saw last year team chemistry was not there. And so for the AFC North, this is as down as you might get it, because there's franchises, in that division like Pittsburgh and Baltimore that have great leadership, great ownership, great executives that run those franchises that they don't typically have down years. And if you got an opportunity to catch one of those like the Steelers, which I don't really know who they are right now, then you have to take advantage of that. So, we're going to put, before we get out of here today, we need to put numbers on what we think Joe Burrow can get to and what we think the Bengals record will be.
Is this Blue Book? Is this one of those?
I told you I got a Blue Book, literally
one of those deals.
Yeah, it's right here.
All right, so the schedule, fair enough in the AFC. The Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. The Ravens are the second best team in the AFC. The Patriots are no longer the Patriots. We'll see what they are, and I don't know that there's anybody in the AFC South that I absolutely love. I think they have 3 good teams. One of them might be great. Past the Chiefs, I don't know that I love anybody in the AFC West. So there's some opportunity there, and 9 wins might win the AFC East. 9-7 could win the AFC East. So there's some opportunities there, and I'm with you on the Pittsburgh. I don't know what Pittsburgh is. Where's Roethlisberger? Where is he physically? Where is he mentally? I know he's coming to the end of his career. They've had wholesale changes there. They look nothing like the Steelers from 2 years ago. This is one of the most stable organizations in all of professional sports ordinarily. By their standards, they've had an awful lot of turmoil in the last 2 years. So I don't know exactly what the Steelers are this year. My gut is that organization is so solid, from ownership to the scouting department, the general manager, the head coach, that they'll figure it out and they'll be pretty good. But will they be able to challenge the Ravens? Probably not. The Ravens are a notch above. So there's an opening there for Cincinnati.
One thing I can promise you, and we've had some LSU greats play for the Cincinnati Bengals. Charles Alexander, Bo Harris, the first two, obviously, that come to mind. And we've had some others, Jeremy Hill and some other guys, James Wright, some Tigers that we all remember, right? This is going to be Baton Rouge's, like, second team. Like, we were talking about it yesterday when we were out. We were like, the Bengals in Baton Rouge, I mean, we're going to be sitting here discussing them all the time. Like, I hope our guy like Ben Baby's ready because he's coming on all of our shows because we are talking Bengals, and it is crazy how Joe Burrow, more than any player I can remember, has us following a professional team that's not the Saints.
That's true, and it's a good thing. There were three places that I just couldn't have stomached it if he'd ended up that we'd have had to follow.
Oh, give them to me.
Okay, Atlanta obviously is number one. If Joe Burrow would have gone to the Falcons, I would have just violently
We've had enough of that. We've seen enough LSU greats play
right,
there.
okay. So if he'd have gone to the Falcons, I would have just thrown up. The second one is San Francisco. And this is a product of me growing up in the 80s and the Niners just beating the Saints over the head for a decade. Okay. Maybe mid-80s to mid-90s. Saints had some pretty good teams in there. And the Niners were just better every single time. The number of games I watched where New Orleans led, 2 minutes to go, Saints have a 3-point lead. Well, Montana's taking them down the field. And then when he left, Young's taking them down the field. They're going to lose. And more often than not, they did. And then the third one is the Cowboys. I don't hate the Cowboys as much as a lot of people do, but I know that it would have been a hold your nose type of deal for a lot of people here. Now, you're from Shreveport. It's different. There's a lot of Dallas.
Not. Yeah, for them, not me.
Okay, well, not you, but there's a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans in Shreveport, yes?
Yeah, not as many as there used to be, but yes, there is definitely
They're not as
Dallas
good as
Cowboys
they used to
fans.
be.
That is very true. Get off the bandwagon. What are we doing here? I hate the Cowboys.
So those three teams, it would have been hard. Anybody else, I don't have any strong feelings for the Bengals one way or the other.
Right.
So
I'm with you.
I can follow him. I certainly hope the guy does well.
I'm with you. I hate the Cowboys. Thank God that did not play out. The Raiders. If I would have had I already have to see my guy Foster Moreau in those colors. One of my favorite coaches of all time, Rich Bisaccia, is the special teams coordinator there. It pains me every time I talk to Rich to see that Raiders logo on his shirt when we FaceTime. I don't need to see that ever again. I can tell you, we were at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and I was talking with Joe's brother, and we're going over, possible destinations for him. I was like, please, tell me he's not going to go to the Raiders. Like, let's find a way not to make it. He goes, oh, you got, like, information? Like, the Raiders, they run bad, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I play for the two biggest rivals. He goes, oh, I thought you had inside information. I'm
no,
it's the Raiders.
I wouldn't want to, and I wouldn't want to see Burrow with the Bucs or the Panthers either. I don't want to see him, twice a year going against the Saints. Didn't your kids recently? Did I see this on Twitter? Didn't your kids recently buy like knapsacks for backpacks for school?
Yeah, they got lunch boxes. Yeah. So they all got to pick their lunch boxes this year. The three older boys, and
what teams did they pick?
So my oldest went with the Chargers because he's loyal, and that's who I played for. That's who I was a team captain for. My second son, Knox, picked the Broncos. I'm okay with that. Dad played for the Broncos, had a nice run, scored some touchdowns, play with Peyton. I get it. That's cool.
Okay.
My third son, Hudson Paul, decided he's going to go for the Chiefs. He's got a stinking Clyde Edwards-Helaire jersey, a Tyrann Mathieu jersey, and a Patrick Mahomes jersey already, Hanny.
When the youngest is old enough, are you going to get him a Raiders? I mean, just so we have the whole
absolutely not. He can choose the Saints because they all root for the Saints, but maybe the Saints can be like his main team. I've got a Chiefs fan inside of a household where I played for the Chargers and Broncos, and what can I say to him, right? My two favorite all-time LSU players play for the Chiefs right now, Clyde and Tyrann.
Indirectly, you're responsible.
Yeah.
So you can't blame the young man. I mean, this is kind of your fault.
It absolutely is. I guess there's worse things. I mean, the Raiders would definitely be the worst. I don't really have ill will towards the Chiefs outside of playing them twice a year my entire NFL career. But it's like, you can like one of the teams your dad played for. Yeah, I realize the Broncos and Chargers, it's been a long time since they've been, deep into the postseason. But
in the event we have a Christmas party this year, which at this point looks unlikely,
no way.
My secret Santa gift, the dirty Santa thing that we do every year.
It's going to be the Raiders.
It's going to be a Raiders shirt. It's going to be a Las Vegas Raiders shirt. You know who I hope gets it.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly. We'll make sure that happens.
Let me tell you something.
In the unlikely event we have a Christmas party.
Y'all better not gift me anything Raiders. I have a strong dislike. Like, it's the Phillies and then the Raiders as far as sports teams I hate.
You have a silver and black LSU pullover on today.
It's not silver and black.
Yes,
Chill
it
out.
is.
It's gray and white.
It's silver and black.
There's no black in this deal, and it's LSU.
What is behind the tiger that's black?
Yeah, what? That's a smidge.
It's
and Cocho wears this.
It's
so
from
Cocho
shoulder
wears
to
it.
shoulder.
It's okay with me.
It's a closet Raiders fan.
It's
You
not.
just don't want to admit it.
Have you ever been to that dump?
No,
I know they moved.
I actually
it's the
have
worst
not.
stadium in America.
The new building looks really cool. Did you see that yesterday?
I did.
It looks like a spaceship. It looks like something out of Star Trek.
It does.
And
It's still the Raiders.
Really nice looking.
Just win, baby. Get out of here. You don't win anything.
We'll take a break. We'll have more from Mickey Loomis. We'll get some other tidbits from Coach O at the Rotary. Matt Hayes from Bleacher Report is with us in the next hour. Dr. Stephen Etheridge is with us as well. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, as you know, we're brought to you by Hungry Howie's every single day. You can find them online at hungryhowies.com. We always point you to the deal menu because no matter what you're looking for, if it's just you by yourself having lunch, if you want to eat a little healthier, they've got a salad special as well. Of course, they've got deals for the entire family like I would need. And so go check them out. There's a deal to fit whatever you're looking for at hungryhowies.com. We always tell you multiple ways to get Hungry Howie's to you as well. You can order it on that website, hungryhowies.com. You can always call them at 761-HOWIE. The Nicholson location right there south of campus, open 10 a.m. until 4 a.m. The Hungry Howie's app is really cool as well. You can schedule your delivery time, so you're going to get it exactly when you want it. But as I tell you every single day, yes, they've got great pizza deals, but that's not it. You can get the calzones. You can get the Howie bread. We love the Howie cookie here. If Hunt Palmer and Blaine Besh allow us to get a piece when they deliver that Howie cookie, it's fantastic. They've got subs as well. So it is a big menu. You need to check it out. hungryhowies.com is going to have that menu right there. So many different ways to get that Hungry Howie's to you. Remember that number, 761-HOWIE, and always check them out at hungryhowies.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Reviews are a smart judge of character. If you see this, it's time to move on. But this, now that's a keeper. Richards Honda is proud of our 97% customer satisfaction rating. Every day, we're stepping up our game to make you feel safe, from masks to social distancing to new ways to shop. Richards Honda is committed to fanatical customer care. Because when people call you the smart choice, you'd better live up to it. Visit us today, I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. Inching closer to the start of college football, plans are materializing. We'll discuss with Russ Mitchell of College Football News. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Reminder from our friends at Bozeman Distributors. Go to 1045ESPN.com now through August 16th and take a quiz to see how prepared you are for hurricane season. Everyone who takes the quiz will instantly put their name in a drawing for a brand new EU1000 generator from Bozeman Distributors. Get prepared for hurricane season from 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and stay prepared with Bozeman Distributors.
Back here, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN. I'll share something a little bit. We had some talk in the Bayou Ford huddle about the Bengals, and so I just kind of threw it in there. Hey, if the college football season is delayed, we're going to have some holes in the calendar. If the NFL season is moved around a little bit, how'd you feel about Bengals games being on in Baton Rouge? And the early response is pretty good. I was asking for a friend, just
right.
In case you were wondering.
I've been asked, and as y'all know, I'm part of walk-ons up in North Louisiana, and when I was up there for my camp, we went to walk-ons after the camp, like we always do, and I was there with the coaches, and I can't tell you how many people came up to me in the restaurant. Hey, do you think we can get Bengals games on here? So can we have the Saints here on this screen and have the Bengals maybe on some of not the main screens, right? And I'm 7 people probably asked me while I was in Shreveport one weekend, hey, you think y'all going to carry the Bengals? I'm like, yes, we're going to carry the Saints. We're going to carry the Bengals. They'll make sure that every TV is in whatever you're looking forward to.
Well, I told, we said last week we had a staff meeting. We had a what-if meeting. We went through contingencies. Just kind of letting out company secrets here. The Bengals is one of the things we're looking at, and that could happen on a part. It's not going to affect our coverage of the Saints, just so you know. Right. The Saints will still be on Eagle the way they always have been. But we are going to potentially have programming slots to fill, and the Bengals are one of the things that we're talking about. So,
and no other player's ever done that.
We wouldn't.
And I forgot Whitworth. Champ pointed out. I forgot Whitworth when I was talking about Bengals. But
I mean, we wouldn't. We're not talking about covering the Cardinals. We're not talking about covering the Ravens or the Jets or anybody. We've taken national games before on ESPN. We've done a lot of that, but it's like a game of the week. It bounces from team to team. No, we're looking at it. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Now get a memo from Gordy like, what are you doing? Some other stuff out of the Rotary Club from Michael Cobble was covering this for WBRZ. Channel 2. Coach O asked if he expects any players to opt out. He said no. He does not expect much of that to happen anywhere, and does not expect anybody here. But I'm gonna bury the lead here for a minute. He was happy with the Zoom and team meetings to have people there that would help him out there. Thinks that the freshmen are getting more practices than anyone's ever had, about 12 more practices than usual, and. Usually it's just the early entry guys. This year it's everybody. But here's the one that caught my attention. Coach O, I'm quoting off of Michael Cobble's Twitter. It says, we didn't play good defense. There were too many points scored on us last year.
I love that look, Hanny. There's no question that Bo Pelini's style fits what Coach O wants to be more than Dave Aranda's. And it's no slight at Dave. Dave did a good job while he was here, won a national championship, the whole deal. And y'all know how big of a fan I am of Bo Pelini and his defense. It's going to be different. That's not to say that Dave did it wrong, but as far as aligning with what your head coach wants to be, which is an aggressive 4-3 defense, that's what Bo Pelini's going to bring. And you're going to see this defense take more chances. You're going to see more people be involved. You're going to see more guys have the ability to be X factors. It's not only going to be one guy, right? In 2018, we knew, right, it's Grant Delpit. That's going to be the X factor. he was going to be the guy that kind of lined up wherever and made the plays. In a Bo Pelini defense, you're going to have multiple playmakers. There's not only going to be one. You might have a guy, and one of the best examples, I think, is a guy like Chad Jones in 07. Chad wasn't a full-time starter. Craig Steltz and Curtis Taylor were the full-time starting safeties, but there was a role for a Chad Jones. And when Chad Jones came in, he came in to make a play. He came in to change the game, and that's what you'll see from Bo Pelini.
Do you think that LSU's defensive struggles when they had them last year, and I didn't even like to use the word struggles with the exception of the Ole Miss game really, but do you think they were schematic in nature?
There was some, yeah. I mean, I think there was some.
Give me an example.
Just the adjusting part of it, of the Ole Miss game in the second half, right? Like, you've got to be able to adjust on the fly, and when you weren't able to do that,
they were up 31-7. There was a certain amount of letdown factor coming off Alabama.
For sure, some of that. But also, when you go back and you watch the eye in the sky, you watch the end zone copy, it's like, wait, where was the support? Why was this safety in this position? Why was he not?
But isn't that execution and not schematics?
Well, also, but the position of it, especially in college football, is you're lining these guys up. Right?
Okay.
You're talking about the safety playing at this depth opposed to that depth. And look, we're picking hairs here. I mean, I thought the defense was fine. I thought that got blown out of proportion. But, there was moments in that game where you would have liked to seen some adjustments.
I thought that schematically Aranda was pretty solid. Now, if your take is that you've got a better shot at getting more defensive linemen that fit what Pelini does, it's very hard to find a Tyler Shelvin type to anchor the defensive middle on the nose. Okay, no problem with that. And I think you can win with either scheme. But I'm not going to play revisionist history here after 4 years of saying how good Dave Aranda was to say that, well, you know what, the defense wasn't very good last year. I don't know that's fair. If you want to say they played poorly in the second half of the Ole Miss game, I'm not going to dispute that. That's not even disputable. But did I think that was a bad defense last year overall? I did not. I thought when they kicked up the intensity and they really had to play in the playoffs against Alabama, they made the plays that they needed to make.
And they were more aggressive after that too, which was something that they were calling for. Because if you remember earlier in the season, they weren't an aggressive defense as far as what they were doing. They were playing a ton of quarters coverage. And quarters coverage is, to me, and Flynn and I have broken this down so many times, it's a coverage to sit there and not allow you to give up a ton of points or a ton of yards at one time, not the big plays. You're keeping everything in front of you, but it allows teams to have long drives against you. It allows teams to, kind of have a softer defense to be able to pick apart here and there. And they did get more aggressive after that Ole Miss game, but when you look at the styles, this is what Coach O wants. He wants an aggressive defense from the first snap of the first game and not the latter part of the season because you're having to adjust to what happened. Again, I hope this isn't coming across as an attack on Dave Aranda because there was things that defensive staff did that absolutely worked. But as far as what the head coach wants, this lines up much better with it than what Dave Aranda did.
And I don't dispute that at all, that he's more comfortable with Pelini. The one thing I am extremely confident in going into this thing is that this is a team that will be able to play a lot of man coverage with who they have on the outside, with Stingley, with Flott, who we talked about today, with Ricks, and that they will be extremely hard to move in that defensive middle with Shelvin, with Ika, with Logan, with Farrell. They've got, and that's before you even get to the freshmen. Inside and outside, they're going to be really, really salty. And you got to break in some linebacker. You got to break in some edge people. I get it, but there's some talent there. But corners, interior defensive linemen, safety, oh, yeah. In the middle and on the edges, there's some personnel there.
I think when you look at this defense, the biggest question mark is going to be, okay, if you're not blitzing, if you're not bringing more than 4, which edge rusher is going to step up and be the guy? That's the question. And I think it's a fair question.
Sure.
Because we don't have a guy that we can point to. There's not a Caleb on. There's not an Arden Key that we can point to say, okay, this guy coming back. And because everything you just said, how you feel really good about where the defensive front is in the middle of that defensive front. I mean, you're talking about more defensive tackles at your disposal maybe than you've ever had with the guys coming in and the guys coming back. You feel really good about, the linebacking room, like you mentioned, the DBs, all that. It's, okay, which one of the defensive ends is going to step up and allow us to get pressure when we only bring 4 and not have to bring 5 or 6?
It's quite possible it was somebody that wasn't on the team last year.
Yeah.
Quite possible. Take a break here, hanging with Hester and Hanny. You can catch us on CST, of course, on our YouTube channel, 104.5 ESPN, 11:30 The Tiger in Shreveport, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business.
I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
When you want the best of Louisiana, you don't go to a superstore. We know what we like, and we like it local. Same goes for banking. As one of Louisiana's largest local banks, we offer homegrown services crafted around you. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Toyota, we don't just sell cars, we buy them too. Bring your car in so we can see it, and within minutes you can turn your car.
It's a Wednesday edition of Game Time, live from Rouge Creole on Perkins Row. Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz will break down the latest action in baseball and a whole lot more on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Saints reported for testing yesterday, be a few days in the protocol before they can get to actual work, just like everybody else in the NFL. Mickey Loomis was talking a little bit yesterday about some of the things that they've had to get done, in what is anything but a normal training camp for sure. And one of the things that the Saints have been able to do a very good job at is bringing in undrafted free agents, being able to sort of find some of those diamonds that you can work with, that you don't have to spend high draft choices for. That's going to be more challenging this year.
I think on the surface I would say yes, and yet I don't really know. I mean, listen, we're going to have these guys in our building. For the next month, we're going to have a lot of time to watch them, to see them in meetings, to have practices, see them compete against the veteran players. So, look, I think we'll do a real good job of evaluating, but the evaluation will be different.
Were you at camp with a guy ever that looked at the depth chart on your team and said, look, man, I'm not going to make this team necessarily, but I get out there, I can make another team. It happens with kickers a lot. The Saints, when they had Morton Anderson, used to bring another kicker to camp, and they let him kick in the preseason. It was
always,
you're not going to beat out Morton Anderson, but if you get in there and you kick well, somebody else might be looking for a kicker. That happened with guys, that say, look, man, I know I'm not making the Chargers, but I got to get out there in the preseason and impress somebody else.
Oh, absolutely. We had a guy, Patrick DeMarco, played fullback for South Carolina, came in 2011, and Patrick DeMarco is still playing. Patrick DeMarco is a very good football player. I believe he just got named fullback of the decade for the Falcons, and he's since moved on to the Buffalo Bills. But at the time, I was a starting fullback. Mike Tolbert, who was a running back, was also a guy who had played fullback in his career. And I remember Patrick sitting there, saying, hey, I wanted to come in here. I chose San Diego. I want to be able to learn under you and Tolbert. Not going to make this team, but I want to learn from y'all, get a chance to play in the preseason, and then try to go somewhere else. And boy, did it work out for him. I mean, like I said, he had a great career with the Falcons. He's now at the back end of his career, but he's still playing really strong for the Buffalo Bills. But I remember having that conversation with Patrick. He's like, hey, I know I'm going to have the opportunity to play, because he knew Tolbert wasn't going to play fullback in the preseason. He knew I was going to play the first or second quarter, and he was going to get an opportunity to get all of those reps. And so he had injuries, so it got cut short. So it took him a little bit longer to gain some steam. He ended up in Kansas City the next year, makes a team there. But I remember having those conversations with not only him, I mean, multiple players throughout the preseason. And sometimes those guys make the team.
And it's probably multiple guys on every single team in the league. They won't have that this year, at least that ability to get in and impress in the preseason game. So Loomis talked about how they might simulate that.
We discussed that. I think, look, the intention here is we've got this testing period, we've got the ramp up period. We're going to have some OTA level practices, and then we're going to get into our normal training camp practices at some point down the road here. And look, those are intense practices. They always have been. And look, you're always trying to get as close as you can to game-like situations, and that'll evolve, I think, as we get into training camp here.
I'm still trying to get my head around the schedule. So today is when they would normally report, or yesterday was when they would normally report, right about this date. And then you take your physical, and then you're on the field. You're out there, you're practicing. You're not in full gear or anything that the first few days, but you're out on the field. You're in the meeting rooms. You're in camp. We're the same 50, actually, I think it's 46 days to the opener that we would be in any normal year, except this normal camp time is not camp time at all. The first 5 days is nothing but testing. Yeah. Come in here, here's your Q-tip, get on down the road. We'll see you next week. And then you get into what is an OTA period, which should have been done in May.
Right.
And at that, and only then do you get into a normal, and I hesitate to use the word normal. Right, exactly. Do you get into the traditional, let me use that word, maybe is better, the traditional training camp? It's the same 50 days. Now, you don't have to get ready for these preseason games, not that you're game planning for them necessarily, but you don't.
Right.
You don't have, so, again, I'm trying to get my head around what you think this schedule will do to the preparation, because you're just going to have less time in a traditional camp than you ordinarily would.
So you're going to have less time. There's no denying that. But you're also going to have practices where you're not having to ease back because of a game. Because even though you don't game plan for a preseason game, they still scale it back because they realize you're about to play a game.
You still get hit.
Yeah, so you're going to scale those practices back in a normal camp. And you're right, this is the same reporting date, because for the first 7 years I was married, I didn't see my wife because of training camps.
On your anniversary.
Yeah, on the anniversary. So for the first 7 years, because I was already at camp every time.
Did you get her 8 gifts in the 8th year?
We always got gifts. So if you're not there, you got to get. Okay. You have to get gifts. And you mentioned no OTAs. So OTAs, what they basically are is they are a Friday practice in the NFL. No pads, jerseys, shorts, and helmets. But they're fast paced, right? It's all, how much can you retain? How much can I give you? You can retain. Let me see how much you know. That's what OTAs truly are. It's basic install, day 1, day 2, day 3 stuff. And then when you come back in training camp, day 1, day 2, day 3. So you repeat what you did in the OTA. So you're just not going to have the ability to repeat it. And they might do some OTA type practices in full pads. It might not be just, helmets and shorts like you typically would have. But also, I think it is important that you don't have those games, because I'll be curious to see how they handle those practices. How much intensity do they have? Because normally you would start to back it off in preparation for that game. You'd always have the next day off, and then the next day you came back, it'd almost be handy like a walkthrough type practice. Well, if you don't have those games, you don't have to have the rest and recovery. Okay, well, we can put more information, we can put more practice time on the field in. And so you're going to have, I think, the same amount of work that you typically would have with OTAs and training camp. It's just going to be combined into 6 weeks and not spread out from May, June, and August.
Here's another change. You're getting ready for camp. You talk to your coaches, you talk to your players, you talk to your trainers, you talk to agents, you talk to media, and this year you talk to a carpenter.
We've done some modifications in the locker room. We've basically created some barriers between each locker that as part of the protocol and part of our IDER plan that we sent to the league. So yeah, we have done some things. We're not moving walls. We're not tearing down walls and moving walls, but there's a number of things that we've done, and look, we're continually looking at that and saying, hey, what else can we do?
Everybody is on site. Nobody is going away for training camp. They're modifying training facilities for rosters of 80, which will be rosters of 53 once they get started. This requires a certain amount of maneuvering to put another 27 guys in a room that ain't designed for another 27 guys.
Yeah, if you want to see what the Saints locker room is probably going to look like, the Detroit Lions actually put a picture out there on Twitter of what their locker room looks like. And you've got 3 lockers that you typically would have 3 players with nothing in between them. Well, you have 1 player for every 3 lockers, and they have a big glass barrier in between all 3 of these lockers, and it's across the entire locker room. And the Saints, I think they're kind of taking the same plan. That's what their locker room is going to look like.
This is going to make it tough to play cards in the locker room, Oh, that's baseball players. Sorry.
We're dominoes.
Dominoes
and dice.
Can you play dominoes or dice through a plexiglass? I don't think you can.
Yeah, they're just going to be like, hey, bring your chair over here.
Do
I got
it
the
virtually,
table.
Right?
And in dominoes, in a football locker room, it doesn't count if it's not the hardest slap on the table you've ever heard. It just doesn't count if it's not.
It's good to know the rules before you start.
Let me tell you real quick. I know we're up against a break. You want to start a fight in an NFL locker room, start getting a little confident in a domino game and get that other guy really mad. Antonio Gates knew exactly how to get under your skin in dominoes.
Dominoes.
Oh.
Okay. Baseball players, it's cards.
Yeah.
Football players, dominoes. Got it. Dr. Stephen Etheridge, when we come back here, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by Baton Rouge Foundation Repair. You can check them out online, brfoundation.com. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair offers services to correct the Settlement of both slab foundations and pier and beam foundations. Are you considering buying a house that has foundation problems? Some companies say that their work will fail if there is poor drainage around your slab, and you might be asked to pay again. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair water shield pilings are engineered to withstand poor drainage condition. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair has been servicing the greater Baton Rouge area for more than 22 years. Their owner, Michael LaMonica, is a lifelong Baton Rouge resident. I tell you, man, day one, this guy cares about the Baton Rouge community. It's the first thing that came out of his mouth, the first meeting we had. Don't be asked to pay twice for your foundation repair work. Get Baton Rouge Foundation Repairs water shield pilings, and estimates are always free. Call the number 225-275-0101. That's 225-275-0101. And always check them out online at brfoundation.com.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube page. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat. Find highlights for each show's channel and get notified whenever we go live.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Hi, this is Chance Inman, President and Chief Operating Officer for Janney King Gulf Coast. Here are some ways to protect yourself and those around you from the coronavirus. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow. Disinfect high-touch surfaces regularly. Use non-contact methods for greeting others. And avoid touching your face. Following these steps, as well as social distancing, should help all of us stay healthy.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, it's game day. The Pelicans are back. How will they fare against the Utah Jazz? Will Zion play? Plus, Michael Johnson answers your Munchies questions, and Chad Durbin talks baseball. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Dr. Stephen Etheridge is with us now. How you doing?
Doing well.
All right, let me ask you this completely unique and original question. How the protocols change now that the practices have changed and they're in football school is what we're calling it.
Right. So I think the initial protocol is the same. Anybody's coming in the building, same thing. We're checking their temperature. We're asking if they've been sick, any symptoms. We're asking any of our athletes to report if they have anything at all. Historically, if you had a cough, you might just show up at the facility and say, hey, I'm not feeling great. Now they're texting, they're alerting us beforehand, so we can kind of head them off at the curve, so to speak. As far as the actual practice protocol, we're still doing our best to keep distancing. Obviously, as you start doing more team-like activities, it gets a little bit more difficult. But that's the situation we're going to have to figure out. If we're going to play football, you can't keep everybody 6 feet apart. So it's slowly integrating these things, taking it one step at a time, and seeing how we respond, basically.
Doc, something we talked about before you hopped on it really yesterday too, Patrick Mahomes came out and he was talking about, well, he had some uncertainty walking into the building before he actually got there. Then once he got there, he saw all the protocols that were put into place and he felt at ease. He said, okay, I know that they have put the time and the research into our safety being the number one priority. Is that kind of the same feeling that y'all got over there? A lot of guys didn't really know, but once they saw everything y'all done to get the building ready, they were okay?
Yeah, that's, I think, definitely true. We've had countless hours. And again, I credit a lot of people, the Shelley Molniks of the world, our strength coaches. Everybody's really working together. But when they get there, I mean, we're being very careful. We're wearing masks. We're keeping separation. We're checking for temperature. We're responding immediately to any condition that may come up. And as a result, I think the guys do feel a lot better. And I think they've now seen, okay, this maybe can work in this model. It's just a little learning curve, a little bit of adjustments. And like we were just saying, each day we maybe make a slight adjustment here and there to try and make the system better.
Somebody in the Bayou Ford Huddle asked earlier today, who is Shelley Molniks? And I was reminded that, she's not the most well-known name in the building. It's not like she's the offensive coordinator or anything. But since the beginning of June, I don't know that anybody's had a more important job than she's had. So kind of explain what her job is.
Sure. So Mama Shelley is probably how Jacob knew her. She's one of our athletic trainers. She's been with LSU for quite some time. And originally, she was one that handled a lot of the just overall health, mental health, a lot of that. That was kind of her wheelhouse. And over the past year, we've made a transition where she's actually now an administrator with the university. She basically is one of the heads of our entire overall health and wellness. So, I think when she signed up for this job, about this time last year, it was a very different situation. And I think she's definitely got her stripes now. But basically formulating a lot of these protocols, we talk about it a lot, but she's the one that's got to do the hard work. I give advice, so the other doctors give advice, but she's got to type it all up, come up with this stuff, make sure it fits with what the NCAA, the SEC, make sure we're adhering to all that. So, I mean, I think she's had just a grueling job this past 4 or 5 months, but I think she's done fantastic with it.
We've also talked about the building being set up for success in this scenario where only a couple of years ago, LSU didn't have bad facilities, but they might not have been as set up for, what's taking place right now, where now you can screen them when they walk in. You can have their meals right there in the same location. You've got the training room that got expanded. You've got new whirlpools. I mean, everything in this building came at the perfect time to be able to get into the situation and try to create somewhat of a bubble while the players are there.
I think that's very true. The building is so functional. I think that's a term that was used a lot early on, but it's very true that for taking care of athletes, there's not a better facility, in my opinion, in the country right now. Now, the only downside is it's such a great facility. We love being able to showcase it and utilize every aspect of it. Obviously, there are things, the players' lounge and things like that right now are shut down. But as from a medical standpoint, I don't think we could have a better setup.
You guys see something like what happened with the Marlins and say, how do we avoid that? Was it a failure of procedure, or was it just a failure of absolute conscience with them?
That's hard to know without knowing what the internal scenario is there. Obviously, we hear different things coming out. Maybe they knew, maybe they didn't. And I'm not trying to throw any accusations. I think
do it. No.
I think that a part of it is going to be we're going to see this. I think no matter what the reason is, I think learning from this, I think whether it be the NFL, whether it be NCAA, we have to learn from this because our model, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is going to be much more like the Major League Baseball. The bubble is not going to happen with us. So I think understanding where the testing is important, understanding why it's important to hold people back. But, one of the other interesting things is I think as you reintroduce people into group settings, you're going to see this. And I think, there's a talk about pushing the season back. I think that's going to be beneficial because as students come back to campus, I wouldn't be surprised if we have another little surge because, again, you're just reintroducing more. I think allowing people to build immunity, allowing our response times to be better. So, but I don't know what they did or didn't do it, but it definitely is an interesting situation.
We wish you the best of luck. Everybody's pulling for you.
We appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Stephen Etheridge. We'll take a break, come back on the other side. Matt Hayes is with us from Bleacher Report, senior college football writer. That's in hour number 3 here, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Our family of restaurants are fired up, and we can't wait to see you safely. Little Village Downtown. Call or go online for offerings and hours. Palermo Ristorante. We're serving great food right now. Little Village on Airline. Reward yourself. Stabs in Central? Nice. Stabs Prime on Jefferson. Steak or seafood? Introducing Sammy's Grill on Highland Road. We're socially responsible from a distance.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
0% for 72 months on all new 2020 F-150s. Visit Bayou Ford for a new 2020 Ford F-150 with 0% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 3. Thanks for being with us today. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 1130 The Tiger. Also, if you're watching along with us on CST, our YouTube page, 104.5 ESPN, check out today's show live, of course, but all of our archived interviews on the Hangin page. You can go back and watch Nicole Auerbach from The Athletic talking about the state of college football right now as we wait for some news, basically, from the ACC meeting today. They may not make any kind of determinations today or any kind of announcements today, but we're getting close. So Nicole's thoughts on it. We'll have Matt Hayes with us at the bottom of the at 2:15 to discuss pretty much the same topic, because it is what is dominating everything that's going on in our lives right now.
If this is not the most 2020 thing ever, Dennis Dodd, who does a great job for CBS, said, if someone told me in March I'd be hanging on every word of the National Coach of the Year via Facebook Rotary Club stream, I would have told them they are crazy.
And you right, and you want to hear anything at this point.
I think we can all agree Coach O's been the voice of college football as far as coaches.
He's been as visible and accessible as anybody
Without
in the
doubt.
sport. I mean, you've seen very little of Nick Saban. You've seen very little of Dabo Swinney. You've seen very
Thank
little
God.
of Lincoln Riley. You know, just
Who
not
got paid today, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Got an extension,
Oh,
6 years.
Good for him. Before we get back into football, I wanted to touch on the sixth inning of the Dodgers and Astros last night, because if you saw this, this was fairly predictable that this was coming.
Yeah.
I think the distractions of COVID and how the season is playing out kind of put it to the back burner. This would, in a normal year, this would have been the biggest story going into the season. I mean, without question, the retaliation on the Astros for banging on garbage cans. So we made it almost a week, and here it comes.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly threw behind Alex Bregman
3-0 count.
on a 3-0 count, and then came back and threw at Carlos Correa and then struck him out. Now, here's my take on throwing it, guys, and it's always been my deal. All right, I'm not. I don't have a problem with you coming inside. I don't have a problem with you. You drilling a guy in the ribs. You drilling a guy in the back. Drilling a guy in the backside.
Yep.
Listen, that's part of the game. Okay. Now, the reasoning for it sometimes is goofy. Okay. Guy hits a home run off of you and you drill him. Well, that's just dumb. Okay. He was just better than you. If he showboats, shows you up a little bit, you're gonna come back inside. You're gonna bust him up and in. That's part of the game. I don't want the guy to feel comfortable up there if I'm the pitcher. But when you throw behind a guy's head, that's when you lose me. Now you can potentially kill a guy, because your natural instinct when that ball comes out of his hand and it's headed towards your head is to recoil. I mean, that's just instinct. And if you recoil into a 95-mile-an-hour pitch and it hits you in the face or it hits you in the neck, it could kill you. It could it could end your career. And that's where you lose me. You want to hit a guy in the midsection. You want to hit a guy in the back. You want to come up and in on him a little bit. That's fine. But when you throw behind him, that's why Jimmy and I used to talk about it a lot. When Kendall Graveman threw behind Mason Katz, that's when Mississippi State lost me. Okay, yeah. That's when John Cohen, at that point, no, I'm sorry. Katz showboated a little bit. He flipped the bat. All right, you want to come back in and bust him in on the hands? You want to hit him in the ribs? Go right ahead. You throw behind his head, and Graveman throws hard, really hard.
Yeah, he got lit up last night, but he still throws hard.
Yeah, that just to me that's out of bounds. And so Kelly wants to come in there and throw at Bregman. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, yeah. Bregman was one of the guys that was right in the middle of this. He's one of the Astros' best players. He's one of the guys that was in on this garbage can bull crap. And so you want to come in and say, hey, you know what? I didn't appreciate that. I'm going to bust you up and in. I'm going to drill you in the ribs with a 95-mile-an-hour heater, and you're just going to have to take it and go down to first. All right. They kind of got that coming. Yeah. But when you throw behind his head, no, that's it. By the way, I'm well aware that Joe Kelly was on the Red Sox 2 years ago, and the Red Sox have been implicated in all this stuff as well. I knew the Astros were going to get thrown at. Where you throw at a guy,
Dodgers doesn't surprise me either.
No. They're the ones that are the most steamed about this, of course. But where and how you throw at a guy, to me, means everything.
I agree with you, and I'm okay with some unwritten rules in baseball. And I know Matt's been the complete opposite on his show. We actually would talk about it when I used to come on the very end of his show. I'm okay with that. If a guy hot dogs a home run, the catcher wants to say, hey, speed it up a little bit. I'm okay with that. That's just the way baseball's always been played. My sport's completely different, right? If somebody wrongs you, I have the opportunity to drop my head and try to put it right in the middle of your chest, in between the white lines, between the whistles, and it's completely okay, right? I remember the 07 Tennessee game. There was still ill will from the 06 Tennessee game at Tennessee. It's the game where my helmet got knocked off. The linebacker looked at me and said, "Shouldn't you be playing for Air Force?" Because I was a white running back. And, I was like, man, that was really good trash talk. But that kind of started the chippering, right?
Right.
And so in 07, I remember the very first play of the game, it was a 20 ISO, and there was a young defensive back to try to come and make the tackle. And I was like, I'm going to try to do everything I can to put him on his back, right? And then as soon as that play happened, I mean, it started right back. And so it's like we didn't even forget. It's like we picked right up where we left off. So my sport's different. But baseball, this is what you're going to get. You don't forget. You never forget. It doesn't matter if it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, and this isn't going to be the only time that they have it. But I completely agree with you. Stay away from the head. You cannot risk the damage that can cause, which is just more than a headache at the end of the night. I mean, that can be something that is long-term. I am completely okay with you throwing it 98 right in the middle of his back. That's okay. If that's the way baseball works itself out, okay, fine.
It's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt like hell. But yeah, you got to stay away from the head, man. And on a 3-0 count, I mean, you're not even trying to hide it. You're trying to go out there and you're trying to hurt somebody. Do the Astros? Did they probably get off easier than? Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't think this is over.
It's not over.
I don't think this is
over.
over.
I'm talking about without fans.
Last night,
they didn't have to deal with that. They don't have to deal the attention, like you mentioned. They got taken away because of everything else that's going on.
They had a social distancing fight. they cleared the benches with proper social distancing for. A lot of baseball fights are just milling around and you go, hold me back, man, hold me back. They don't really want to fight. Last night, they practiced good social distancing during the stuff. Listen, Kelly, with what he did to Correa, and he comes back and he strikes him out, it would have been so much better if Kelly would have been, would have been the guy with the Dodgers, 2 years ago during the series. Because what he did, I'm sorry, the Astros had it coming. When, he busts him, if you bust a guy inside and you come back and you throw a curveball and he strikes out and you go in there and you say, hey, bleep, it ain't so bleeping easy when you don't have a garbage can that's being beaten up. Look, man, you had that coming.
Yeah.
Your Correa, your Bregman, you got that coming.
Right.
You don't have one coming at your head. That's it for me. And Joe Kelly's, the fact, like I said, the fact that he was not there, that he was, he's a former member of the Red Sox, and it was probably not the guy I wanted to send the message. I would have rather have been one of the guys that was, direct. Like, honestly, if you remember Clayton Kershaw after the game where he got hit pretty good, and, he came out and he faced the media, and Kershaw's had his problems in the postseason before, and, he was a stand-up guy after that. He said, I got hit, and they lost, and turns out they didn't swing at a breaking ball the entire game because why? Well, because they knew it was coming.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen. And look, I enjoyed watching Alex Bregman play here. I had a tremendous amount of respect for his work ethic and the whole deal. And I couldn't have been more disappointed when I found out what happened. Mm-hmm. I wish Clayton Kershaw would have drilled him in the ribs. I wish it would have been Clayton Kershaw that drilled him in the ribs and said, you know what? I remember. And he'd had that coming.
Yeah,
he didn't have one
part
come
of his
behind.
legacy.
Yeah. He didn't have one coming behind his head. So I was disappointed in the way that the whole thing played out in the off season. That you found out that, hey man, look, they pulled all of this garbage, and no pun intended. But last night, the inside part fine, the over the head part, no.
And I know he said he lost control, and he's been a wild pitcher in his career. But after the pitch antics, when he's poking out his lip and he's chatting, that lets me know that you had intent to do something.
He's
because
lying.
Otherwise, you're like, hey, look, I was part of the Red Sox. Like, hey, I was not throwing at you. No, he was poking out his lip, and there were some antics there. So again, he was throwing at him.
You got a 1-2 pitch with 2 on and 2 out, and you sail the ball over the guy's head. Hey, you lost it, right?
Yeah. 3-0 pitch.
3-0. No, I'm sorry. The first week of the season, no, you didn't lose anything. You did it. You did it on purpose. Just go ahead and own it. And
because if there's ever one time in baseball where nobody's going to judge you for if you just naturally threw at a player, not at his head, but just threw at him, this would be the time. Because this, like you said, Hanny, this ain't over.
No, it's not over. But the commissioner's got an interesting call to make here. Do you fine him? Because nobody got hit. Now, for me, it's easy. I can look in there and I know the situation. I know everything that happened in the past. I know it's a 3-0 count. I saw where the ball went. I'm fining him. Okay? Guy's going head hunting. I'm fining him. But there are other baseball people that say, well, he didn't hit anybody. Well, you fire a bullet at somebody and don't hit him, you get charged with attempted murder. I'm sorry. You throw at a guy and you don't happen to hit his head because you were a little bit too wild. I'm not going to give you a pass for that. I'd fine him. I mean, I'm not going to suspend him for 3 weeks or fine him, $500,000, but I'm going to let him know, hey, we're watching.
You're okay with throwing at some of the Astros players, or just you can understand?
Yes, the Dodgers throwing at the Astros, yeah. Again, certain places, okay? Hey, listen, we remember what you guys did. We feel like you stole a title from us, and we're going to play the game
Hanny,
hard.
I'm so glad I played a sport where I didn't have to worry about it or get fined.
Echo of the whistle? Echo of the whistle? Bobby Bowden said that? The echo? You hit until the echo of the whistle?
Especially on special teams. If you had some beef, if you had something that was lingering, special teams was the place to get it.
Right.
Especially on punt return. On punt return.
When you could blindside block back there before they changed the rules.
Before they changed the rule.
It
was almost like the water boys, like 52, 52, 50. You just find him like, oh yes, there he is.
Right. Yeah. When that worked properly, and I got off maybe 2 of those in my entire high school career, it felt really good.
So every baseball player knows what it feels like to hit a home run on your hands. When you hit that home run, when you hit one, and it just feels like utopia on your hands, right? You know the feeling of a home run. It's the same thing in a blindside block when you timed it up right and you got your shoulder pad
and
just
it was legal.
Right,
yeah, you get your head
and you
across.
didn't even feel it.
Right.
You didn't even feel it. Now, he felt it.
Yes, he did.
But you never felt it.
You ever get blocked like that?
Surprisingly, I never really got a big-time blindside block.
Never?
I'm trying to think.
I got wiped out once on a reverse.
No, my head was always on a swivel.
Yeah,
there,
I got wiped out on a reverse once. That was back when the circle block was still legal, and the tight end circle. I was playing defensive end. The circle block comes around and it's a wipeout block. I mean, it's an absolute crusher. I learned. I didn't get hit again, but the first time, I got depleted.
I do. One that comes to mind. There was an interception or turnover. I don't remember the situation against the Patriots one year, and Richard Seymour was headhunting, and he hit me so hard. But I was looking for it. But he hit me so hard that I didn't fall. I just did a complete 360 spin and landed right where I started.
Yeah.
But I think he hit me so hard it was going to be impossible for me to fall down.
It's a cat-like balance, Hester.
No, it wasn't that. He hit me so hard I don't think I had a chance to fall.
Well, he outweighed you by 80 pounds?
It's kind of my fault. Hey, if you're going to take on a blocker,
Seymour was a defensive lineman. I mean, it was.
I don't remember if it was the Patriots or Raiders. I don't know. He was dirty.
He's big, very big.
Damn,
person.
He was good.
Matt Hayes, when we return, we'll talk some more college football. This is Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you every single day by Hungry Howie's. Of course, you can check them out online at hungryhowies.com, where you can do it all. You can check for those deals we always tell you about. You can check out all those flavor crusts, butter cheese, Asiago cheese, ranch, onion, Cajun, sesame, garlic herb, all right there on the website. Of course, the full menu's there. And also Howie Rewards, right? So you go to the website, you log in, you create a username, and you're going to get rewarded for the more pizzas that you buy. I know that we're close. The Hesters, we've only got one more to get to our goal of 6. So we've got 5 points right now. If we get to 6, we're going to get a free medium pizza right there. And all you have to do is spend $10 or more. That's just one of the rewards they have over at Hungry Howie's. The website is set up for success. It's going to navigate everything that you need, including those deals we always tell you about. But it's not the only way to get your Hungry Howie's to you. Of course, you can always call them at 761-HOWIE. The Hungry Howie's app is always available to you. I know Hunt Palmer always talks about it. He likes to schedule his delivery right there on the Hungry Howie's app. That way, when he leaves radio, it's waiting on him right there at the house. HungryHowies.com is the website. Again, Hungry Howie's app. Hungry Howie's is 761-HOWIE. That location, 10 a.m. until 4 a.m. Hungry Howie's and HungryHowies.com.
Live NBA play-by-play returns this week. Thursday night, catch the Lakers and Clippers at 8. The Mavericks host the Rockets Friday at 8. And Sunday at 2:30, the Boston Celtics host the Portland Trail Blazers. Your home for the NBA is 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. Inching closer to the start of college football, plans are materializing. We'll discuss with Russ Mitchell of College Football News. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny, brought to you in part by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Joining us now is Matt Hayes, senior college football writer for Bleacher Report. Matt, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing well. How you boys doing?
Doing okay. Give us your assessment of where we are in the decision-making process, and pick your favorite conference, if you will, as to the beginning of the season and the schedule that lies therein.
I think, fellas, that it's going to be, I think, first off, everybody's going to pause. And I think it's going to give, that's the new buzzword now, pause. It's going to give everybody a chance to assess the numbers, assess their protocols, make sure they've got everything in working order, make sure if something like, heaven forbid, like the Marlins stuff happens, it's not going to be we're going to react in 24 hours or 32 hours and have a PR disaster. It's we're going to react immediately, and we're going to tell you what our plan is immediately, and here this is what we're going to do moving forward. I think same thing I've thought for 3 or 4 months, that they're going to do everything they can to play the season. I still think that. I still think they're going to look at it as, look, it's a problem that has to be worked through, and we'll do everything we can to work the problem. And if at some point it becomes untenable, you pause again. And if it's too untenable, then you cancel. And I think that's what they're going to do. And if let's say we'll use the SEC, for example, from the folks that I've talked to that are close to the situation, I truly believe it's going to be eight league games and one non-conference game. And I think that's what they're going to do. And that kind of allows you a little flexibility. If you had to move into the first week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks of December, if you had to pause, it will allow you a little flexibility, to get every game in. So the idea of playing, and I saw where Oklahoma added Missouri State or moved the Missouri State game to August 29, and the NCAA just blanket approved everyone to start the season on week 0, August 29. And I think that's because the idea is if you can spread those games from August 29 to the first or second week or even third week of December, you have a chance to get 9 games in, even if you have to pause. I think you have to go into the season with the idea that at some point you're going to have to pause because at some point there might be an outbreak somewhere. And I just don't know. Like, let's just say you're the SEC, and let's say there's an outbreak at Florida, okay? I just don't know that you can say, all right, well, Florida and South Carolina won't play this week because that's a game that was scheduled, and everybody else will play. I don't think they'll do that. I think it's got to be, okay, if you need to pause, that means everybody's got to pause. So that means schedules will have to be adjusted. And because the whole fan situation, we still don't know where that's going to be, when fans will be allowed. It might not be till midway or late in the season. So because the fan situation is like that, it allows you that flexibility to move games that need to be moved and even move schedules if you have to.
Matt, you mentioned conference games +1, perhaps in the SEC. I'm curious, where that non-conference game would come from. Would it come from the ACC or the Big 12, the other Power 5 conferences that we have not heard yet a decision being made? Or what about the Group of 5? I feel like we haven't talked about the Group of 5 a lot, and I know they're waiting on kind of the big boys to make their decision. But in your best guess, where would that conference game come from? Would it come from whichever opponent is available to play you, or just the ACC or just the Big 12?
I think what they're looking at right now, if you're talking about the SEC, I think it's the 4 East Division teams want those ACC rivalries. They're important for their schools, for their programs, and you're also talking about guys 4 of the most powerful ADs in the SEC. So they've been adamant about playing those games now for weeks. So I think you're going to get 4 there. The other 10 teams, Arkansas still has a non-conference game with Notre Dame. That takes 1 away. So now you've got 9 games. And I think they're going to look to the Big 12 to try and fill that in. And by doing that, you're going to try and get games that mean something, that matter, like Missouri, Kansas. I don't know when was the last time they played. That was a huge rivalry once. Texas A&M, Texas Tech, another big rivalry. So I think they're going to try and do that. They're working with both the ACC and the Big 12. And best case scenario, they figure that out.
Matt, this universal pause, if I'm hearing you correct, you believe from people you've talked to that it's a conference-wide shutdown. So what you're saying is that if Kentucky, for instance, has a game with Vanderbilt, and Kentucky has, let me pick a number, 6 guys that test positive, and they got to shut that game down, then Georgia and Florida playing that same weekend would also have to shut down, even if they had no positive tests?
I don't know. That's kind of just my thought. It may not be that way. I don't know that is. And again, Greg Sankey was on my radio show in Jacksonville about 2.5 months ago, and one of the first things he says was, "Look, we all don't have to play. If one team can't play, that doesn't mean everybody else doesn't play." So could I see a situation where Kentucky and Vanderbilt don't play and the rest of the league plays? Sure, of course. But at some point, you're going to have to make that game up. You know what I mean? And not just because of the standings. It could be because of that, but because those teams want to play. They want, you got to get revenue from those games. You got to get TV revenue from those games. So at some point, that game will have to be made up. And again, if you're starting at week 0 and you're ending at the second week of December or the third week of December, you have an opportunity to make that up. I don't know how they'll do it. That I haven't got a straight answer yet from anyone right now. They're still in the process of figuring out what the best idea is to send to the president and to say, okay, this is what we like. Right now, the preferred model, I've been told, is the 8+1. But again, we don't know what's going to happen with the numbers, and the pause at the beginning of the season they're not really going to pause workouts or anything. They're going to pause playing the schedule because it's going to allow them to see more about it.
I think the players
more
will
about
love
the
that.
numbers and where they're headed and getting their protocols in order.
Players will love that, an extra month of camp, Hess. You just love that.
Well, yeah, camp's not as hard as it used to be, so that could be okay. Hey, Matt, I did mention the Group of Five a little bit earlier, and I know you're there. You're in the state of Florida, and so you're talking about FIU, South Florida, all of these schools right now, because when you look at a team like South Florida, right, in the American Athletic Conference, their travel would not be just in their region within their own division. They've got Temple, they've got Cincinnati, they've got UConn, those type of teams, right? So what are you hearing at that level, the Group of Five level, as far as what their plan is? Is it as easy to say they're waiting on the SEC and these other Power Five conferences?
Oh, they absolutely are. They're absolutely waiting to see if they're going to get non-conference games. I think it's, their situation, is a lot like the Power Five, but I think the autonomous five schools, I think they're concerned that the testing and the tracing and the quarantining that they can do may not be able to be done at that level, the Group of Five, simply because of money. And it's not their fault. They just don't have the ability to pay for things like that, the constant tests and the tracing and the quarantining. So I think that's the concern there, especially with the FCS. That's a big deal.
You mentioned the FCS real quick. A conference like the Southland Conference, and that's kind of the one we've pointed to because we have multiple schools in our state that are in the Southland Conference. They seem like they are trying everything they can do to play their normal schedule because we understand the financial benefits they have. When you look at week one, you've got Central Arkansas playing Missouri, you've got Abilene Christian playing Texas A&M, and even in a spot like McNeese State, Matt, well, they said other fall sports, they'll be delayed, but not football. And so what if you have a conference like the Southland Conference who has games against the SEC and these Power Five schools where they don't change it, but because the SEC makes the decision to play only conference games plus one, and that be the ACC or the Big 12, well, the Southland Conference, what kind of argument would they have saying, hey, wait a minute, we had you on the schedule and we're playing?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Jake. I totally get it. And I feel bad for those schools. That those are money games. Those are games that they don't just keep that football program alive, it keeps their entire athletic departments alive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked in the least if at some point either among the Autonomy 5 schools or in conjunction with the NCAA, there's some way of helping those schools, especially the FCS schools, of getting some of that money back, because that's a big hit to them. And whether they do it with television money, whether they do it with more some of the NCAA reserves, which they've used in the past, I don't know, but it's very hard to tell those FCS schools, those smaller division, even some Group of Five schools, that you're not going to get that guaranteed money. That's a big deal for them.
Matt Hayes, senior college football writer for Bleacher Report, is our guest. Matt, do you believe that the August the 4th meeting of the NCAA Board of Governors, which has the potential to cancel the 22 fall championships outside of football, will have any factor at all on the football season?
It's not going to have any factor on the Autonomy 5 group, I can tell you that. Because first off, they don't run that group. They don't run the Autonomy 5. They don't even run the group. They don't run the Group of 5 either. It's just the FCS level and below as far as football. So I don't think it's going to have a factor. I think that the main number one factor on whether you have a football season or not are going to be the Autonomy 5 presidents. And if those guys feel like, look, we have a handle on this, I think we have a good plan to work this problem, then they'll play. If they don't feel like they have a plan, a good enough plan to work it, I almost don't even think it's about numbers either, because I think the COVID numbers will either be the same or they'll tail off a little bit. It's just on a natural process because everybody now is so zero focused on wearing the mask. I truly believe the numbers won't be an issue. It's going to be the faith of those presidents in their respective universities to deal with the situation and to deal with it properly and to not have these huge outbreaks. And the idea of, okay, if we have a mistake or if something happens, we can deal with it and move forward. But if it gets too big, then you cancel. But you can always still pause and then keep moving forward. So I think it all depends on those presidents, the A5 presidents. I don't think it has anything to do with the NCAA. I don't think it had anything to do with the Ivy League that everybody was talking. Remember that when if the Ivy League, if they quit, then everybody's going to quit. It has nothing to do with that. It's the Autonomy 5 presidents. They are the key to everything.
All right, Matt, anytime you come on our show or anytime I go on your show there in Jacksonville, we always have great football discussion. And I realize that COVID is what's the driving force. So before we let you go, I'm going to ask you an actual football question. Let's talk real quick. The Florida Gators, the Georgia Bulldogs, they're in the SEC East. I'm in the minority that think that the Florida Gators will, in fact, leap over the Georgia Bulldogs and be the top team in the East. You're there in Jacksonville. Give us your thoughts on Florida taking over the East.
I can tell you this, Jacob. The people here in Jacksonville, which is, as you know, like about 70 miles from Gainesville, it's a huge Gator hub. Not unlike New Orleans and Baton Rouge. It's almost like a must-win for them right now. They feel like if you don't beat Georgia this year, when will it happen? And if this is your best team, this is a team that Dan Mullen has spoken all offseason about, not only just winning big, but winning a championship, and not just an SEC championship, but being in the playoff and winning it all. So he's talked about that publicly. So he's kind of put the target on his players' back. I mean, they are at a point now where they believe they can compete. Could it happen? Yeah, sure it could. But you got to get over that hump. And Georgia, everybody's been talking about Jamie Newman. I'm telling you right now, JT Daniels, the kid from USC, he's a legitimate factor in that quarterback race. I wouldn't be shocked in the least if he wins that job ahead of Jamie Newman.
Matt, we appreciate your time. As always, we'll talk to you soon, and hopefully some good news coming down the pike.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Matt Hayes from Bleacher Report. Today's show is brought to you in part by Supreme Rice. Since 1936, out of Crowley, Louisiana, milled and grown and processed by Louisiana farmers. You want to support Louisiana farmers? Do it by buying Supreme Rice. It's pure simplicity of rice. Their mission to bring you the highest quality and most flavorful rice products to you. It's easy to get. You can get it at all of your Walmarts, all of your Rouses, all of your AG food dealers. Another great thing about Supreme Rice is here, during phase 2, we got a lot more people that are dining in. You want to talk about stretching that food dollar? Supreme Rice will help you do that. The long grain, brown rice, the jasmine rice, pick your favorite, and then go to supremerice.com and get great recipes. Red bean and rice balls. That's one of the new ones that I'm looking forward to giving that a shot. I never had one, but I'm going to try it right now. You can do the same, whether it's a gumbo, an etouffee, red beans, or supreme and greens. Supreme Rice will never leave you disappointed. Get it at your local grocer. For more information and great recipes, go to supremerice.com. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Gotros Outdoor Power, helping you with all of your property maintenance needs. The folks at Skag, again, 60 months, 0% financing on all Skag units. We had a chance to tour the facility again yesterday as the summer winds down. Some great deals to be made on all of your Skag inventory. It comes with a 5-year Power Plus warranty, and it's always free delivery. So even if you live in Shreveport, Jacob, they will deliver free your Skag units from Gotros Outdoor Power.
You're exactly right. Yes, they have 2 locations locally in Baton Rouge, Airline and Industriaplex, also in Gonzales, which we were at yesterday, Airline and 74. But as we're discussing this with them, hey, we're on 11:30 a.m. the Tiger as well. You're talking about Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, wherever you're at, they will deliver that Skag to you. And let me tell you, these things are set up, man. I couldn't believe just the comfort level of these Skags. It was highly impressive. Again, you can always check them out online at GotrosOutdoorPower.com. That's Gotros. We make it easy.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Reviews are a smart judge of character. If you see this, it's time to move on. But this, now that's a keeper. Richards Honda is proud of our 97% customer satisfaction rating. Every day, we're stepping up our game to make you feel safe, from masks to social distancing to new ways to shop. Richards Honda is committed to fanatical customer care. Because when people call you the smart choice, you'd better live up to it. Visit us today, I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
It's a Wednesday edition of Game Time, live from Rouge Creole on Perkins Row. Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz will break down the latest action in baseball and a whole lot more on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Braves update.
Hey, there we go. So obviously you'll heard us talk about it on the show. Nick Markakis was a veteran player for the Braves that opted out of the season after he had conversations with Freddie Freeman, who tested positive for COVID-19 early in the second spring training camp that Major League Baseball had. And Braves outfielder has decided to opt back into the 2020 season. Said after sitting at home watching guys compete and all the risks that they're taking going out there every day, deep down in the pit of his stomach, he felt like he should be there. And said he made a rash decision and didn't necessarily think through things thoroughly. Got a call from Braves GM a couple days ago explaining his options and wanted to come back and play. He also was pretty candid as far as saying, hey, I bailed on the team. It didn't sit right watching them all be out there taking that risk in order to play. He plans to talk to the team, apologize, and said, hey, we all make mistakes, and I made one.
It's an option that the baseball players have that the football players don't. The football players that are opting out or done for the year, they're not going to be allowed to reconsider their decisions.
Because you have financial, ties with that. Where baseball, you give up your money. Football, you actually, if you opt out, you make a salary.
There is between $150,000 and $350,000. What do you think the response will be in that clubhouse?
He was probably the most veteran leader. Even though Freddie Freeman's the superstar, Nick Markakis was a guy who'd been in the big leagues for so many years. He's 36 years old. He made an all-star game 2 years ago. He's got the respect of that locker room. That's why when he came out and made the decision not to opt into the season, it was a little bit shocking because he was a team leader, somebody this team counted on. No, he's not the best player. He batted .285 last year, 9 home runs, 62 RBIs, but he'll give a jolt to this team. They've started 2-3, and we've talked about it. Hey, you don't have time to sit around and go through any kind of a slump in this season. So I think they'll welcome him back with open arms. If this was a younger player, maybe that would be a different scenario, but this is the guy that was probably the voice in the locker room before everything hit. So he's going to, I don't want to say get a pass, but he's going to be able to have the opportunity to come back and not really miss anything.
They could use a little jolt. You're not over the moon about their energy level these days.
I'm not. I don't know. Look, 60 games in baseball, hey, I want to see every at-bat be an at-bat like if you were in a postseason race, like if you were in a pennant race and you had 60 games left to play. Like, hey, I'm talking about I'm working a 3-2 count. I want to see a guy choke up, try to go the other way. I mean, every at-bat is so important. And, yeah, it hasn't been a lot of enthusiasm, especially at the top of the Braves lineup.
From a guy that isn't there and wants to be there to a guy that is there but maybe doesn't want to be for much longer, or maybe his team doesn't, according to him. Aaron Rodgers, who has been, I would say, somewhat quiet since the draft. It's been easy to be quiet. You know, we've all been at various stages of the pandemic at that point. Had some interesting comments as the Packers reported about, well, maybe he's not going to be around Green Bay much longer.
I think probably the former. I think that's probably what happens, based on, just the circumstances around everything. You look at, just look at the facts. They traded up, they drafted him. I would say they like him. They want to play him. It's a different environment. In 2005, my first year we were 4-12. Second year we were 8-8. There wasn't a clamoring, to play me because it was normal for young guys to sit. In the third year, 2007, we go 13-3. We're one play, we're overtime in the NFC Championship, playing at home against the Giants from going to the Super Bowl. Different scenario. Now I think quarterbacks are playing earlier. It gives some latitude for young coaches and GMs to play their guys. And I get it. I really do. Like, I don't harbor any ill will about it. Like, was I bummed out? Of course. Mm-hmm. Who wouldn't be? Mm-hmm. I wanted to play my entire career in Green Bay. I love the city. I grew up there. Really, got there when I was 21. I'm 36 now. A lot changes during that time. But look, I get it. I see it completely clearly, and I'm not bitter about it. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah. Yes, he is bitter about it. Yes, he is. There's so many layers to this because Rodgers at one point in his career was on the other side of this.
Yes.
When he went there and Brett Favre was there, which he talked about. But at what point do we look at this and go, okay, Aaron Rodgers, maybe it's you. Wasn't happy with Mike McCarthy. That relationship had broken down. Eventually that power struggle was won by the player. Now you've got a new coach. Things didn't exactly go the right way that they wanted to last year, so much so that they start looking towards the future, which is, as he pointed out, they make a move up. They draft a quarterback in the first round. And one other thing, there is a growing sentiment among football people that Aaron Rodgers is no longer Aaron Rodgers. I know that Ryan Clark, who does a show with Matt, has said that before. He's like, that ain't the same dude. Now, he's still got the name, and he still looks like certainly a good quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers wasn't a good quarterback. Aaron Rodgers was an MVP quarterback at one point, and there's a growing thought that maybe he's not anymore.
Yeah, I'd love to get Matt Flynn's take on this because him and Aaron are really good friends.
Well, if he would show.
Yeah, he's maybe Friday, here on a Friday. So it's a tough situation because, you're the guy and they draft a guy. And I had problems with Green Bay doing this because they were in the NFC Championship game last year. And yes, do you want to find the guy who's the next guy? Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's Jordan Love. I saw Jordan Love, be a deer in the headlights in Tiger Stadium and just didn't look like a guy that was going to take over for Aaron Rodgers. Now, the competition level, who he had a receiver, who, LSU had a defensive back. I understand all of that. But for me, Green Bay was in this, hey, win now mode. We just made it to the NFC Championship game. Let's go get the best player available, not move up to take a quarterback. If next year's draft, if this season didn't work out, that's when you make that move. So I can understand him being upset and all of those things. But yeah, you're right about Aaron is kind of not worn out his welcome in Green Bay, but it's getting really thin. And I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about probably everybody inside that building.
And the fact that they made the NFC Championship game last year, it almost seems like they feel like they kind of did it a little bit with smoke and mirrors because they won a ton of one-score games. I think they were 7-1 in one-score games last year, and the law of averages just says that number is going to come back to earth next year. So did you feel like the Saints did in 2018 where you had the game pretty much won in the Superdome and you got hosed on a call? Yeah, you were one play away. The Packers didn't feel like they were one play or
no,
one
they
bad
didn't
half
feel
away
like an
from
NFC
this.
championship
But they
caliber
got there.
team. But they got there. That's the most important part. And I know this model's worked out for them in the past. Aaron Rodgers is proof. I mean, he takes over from Brett Favre there. But I was shocked that they made this move. And so, what's the best case scenario for the Packers? Well, I mean, what are they looking forward to? Because he's exactly right as far as young quarterbacks playing. Kyler Murray played right away. Joe Burrow is going to play right away. We'll see with Tua Tagovailoa. If he wasn't injured, I think he'd play right away. And so quarterbacks now are expected to play right away. And so, this move for the Packers was interesting when they made it. Now hearing Aaron Rodgers' demeanor, does he really want to be there right now?
I asked this about Jamal Adams last week. Now, totally different situation as far as the part in their careers. But he came out and said, basically, look, man, I don't think this coach is the guy. I want out. Aaron Rodgers didn't say anything specifically about his coach, but he came in and said, well, it's pretty obvious they don't want me. Now you got to go to practice next week.
Yeah. Him and the head coach have already banged heads as well.
And the head coach has been there for 10 minutes. He butted heads with the last head coach, who he won a Super Bowl with. We'll see. Taylor Swift, maybe it's you. I mean, come on.
I haven't heard that before. I like that. You're right. I mean, all of the songs.
I've used that a lot. That's kind of just one of those things. When things continue to happen over and over, and I use her because, and I'm not, the music or whatever. It's every time she puts out a song, it's some guy that just did her dirty. Just like you're awful, you're awful, you're awful. Well, that happens enough time. Maybe it's you.
Yeah, it's like Usher. Usher's always apologizing in his songs. Now, they're slappers, but he's always apologizing. Maybe it's Usher Raymond.
Maybe it's you.
Yeah.
Take a break, come back for Ask Us, Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by Richard's Honda. Every single day, the title sponsor of our show here on Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. You can find them online at richardshonda.com. The website is set up for answers right now. Bottom right corner, if you've got a question to ask sales, you can ask that question. They're going to get back to you immediately. Also, it's going to tell you how long you have left to save. You have 2 days, 9 hours, 11 minutes left to save in the current offers over at Richard's Honda. But I give you the physical address because you need to go check out the lot of over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles. That's 13413 Millerville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. That's I-12 and Millerville. And no matter where you're at in your life, no matter what your needs are, they're going to have a car, an SUV, a midsize or a full-size, a van, a truck that fits your needs. If you're looking for a car, they've got the Accord, the Civic, the Fit, a full line of hybrids with the Accord hybrid, the Clarity plug-in hybrid, the CR-V hybrid, and the Insight midsize SUV. They got you covered with 3 options, the CR-V, the HR-V, and the Passport, the Odyssey minivan with every feature. Also, the full-size Honda Pilot, which seats 8. That's what the Hesters drive around town. Plenty of room for me, KD, and the 4 boys, and the Ridgeline truck. So as you can see, no matter what you need, no matter what your life's calling for, Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. They've got it.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana.
Coming up on Thursdays off the bench, it's game day. The Pelicans are back. How will they fare against the Utah Jazz? Will Zion play? Plus, Michael Johnson answers your Munchies questions, and Chad Durbin talks baseball. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Ask us in the Bayou Ford Huddle, also on YouTube. Ask us, did you see the NCAA LSU baseball all-time starting nine? I did. I thought they mostly got it right. I would have found a place for Jason Williams, either at shortstop or at third. Don't really consider Blake Dean an outfielder. I know he played a little bit out there. I consider him more first baseman. And if I got a DH, I'm going to find a place for Rafe Rhymes and his 375 lifetime batting average. But I thought they mostly got it right.
I haven't seen the list, but I can guarantee you a guy named Todd Walker's at second base.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The right side of the infield's pretty easy. Ask us, would you be too embarrassed to wear a soccer jersey? No, actually, Hester bought one during the show today. Didn't you buy a soccer jersey
Yeah.
today?
Look, I'm always going to continue to buy soccer jerseys. I love having all my soccer jerseys. I would not be embarrassed, and I know some people don't like wearing other athletes' jerseys, but I'm like, hey, at one point people wore my jersey, so I feel like it's okay.
Ask Hester, hardest hitting linebacker you've ever faced?
Well, the obvious answer is always going to be Patrick Willis for this, but I'll give you a couple of more names. Clint Sessions for the Indianapolis Colts was a thumper. Let's see, while D'Amico Ryans, the guy you talked about the other day, was a thumper. I feel like I'm missing.
Did you play against Jeremiah Trotter?
Yeah, but it was later in his career.
Later in his
career. God, James Harrison, he was an outside linebacker. But
similar build. Those 270-pound linebackers.
The thing with James Harrison is you couldn't get underneath him because he's not a tall guy. So normally, like a guy like Ray Lewis, well, he's much taller than me. I can get underneath him a lot easier. A guy like James Harrison is built like a you-know-what brick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can't get underneath that guy.
Ask us, National Chicken Wing Day, go-to flavor?
Lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper.
I like lemon pepper.
Pluckers does a Dr. Pepper that I like on occasion. Not every time.
Dr. Pepper.
It's a sweet wing. You got to be in a mood for it, but it's unique.
Okay, well, I think my oldest is obsessed with Dr. Pepper, so maybe we need to check that out.
Pretty good. Ask us, should Aaron Rodgers ask Taylor Swift out? He is single, I understand.
He is single, newly single, and I'm sure Taylor Swift is single as well.
Ask us, Braves are Rays tonight. You losing faith?
God, hopefully the Braves. They've already got their heads beat in twice.
Ask us, poker or dominoes? That's easy.
For you, I'm a dominoes fan. I've always loved playing some bones. Both are great though.
Ask us, how is we as fans get Andrews Pete to opt out? Well, you've already played him. You've already paid him, yes. And I'm pretty sure they need him to start. And at some point, they're going to need to play tackle for Taron Armstead because Armstead misses 2 to 4 games a year. So I'm just saying. Do you expect a dust up tonight between the Astros and the Dodgers? I don't know about tonight, but I don't think this is over. They probably realize that if they get into it tonight, there's fines coming down the road because everybody's watching. So I would say not tonight, but it's also not over.
No, it's not over. It's not over just for the Dodgers, Astros. It's Astros plus whichever team feels like they need to pay them back.
No, I don't want.
Those are my favorite. When you're like, yeah. No,
okay, let's see. Ask us. You must choose one. Fastball to the privates or one to the top of the helmet. I mean, come on.
I tell you what, after my football days, I don't have many hits left in the old noggin, but the other one doesn't seem very fun either.
The top of the batting helmet. You know, if it hits the top of the batting helmet, it's not actually hitting your head. Let's see. Do you like the unwritten rules of baseball, or do they nauseate you? That's a wide range. There's a lot of them.
I don't mind some of them. I'll be honest with you.
Some of them drive me crazy, but some of them I'm okay. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks to Paul O'Neill and to Josh Ward for keeping us on time here today. For Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for AFR here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown